Good evening, my fellow Americans. This is your president speaking, and today is our catch-up day. Because it's not enough that we do weekly recaps, because there is no doubt in anybody's mind that between the day that we do domestic policy or even foreign policy, something ridiculous happens, and it would be remiss of us not to address it. So that is exactly what we were doing today. We're going to address the shocking whatever revelations that are coming to pass, and cover those. Not least of which is the fact that Israel has been discovered to have attempted a false flag attack on U.S. soil so that they could blame it on Iran and drag the United States further into war. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, that sounds pretty anti-Semitic. Well, it would sound anti-Semitic, or it would sound conspiratorial, except Iran. Iran were the ones who discovered, the country that is so bad and evil and malicious and malevolent trying to build nukes. It was Iran who discovered that Israel was going to conduct a false flag, warned the United States intelligence services, and then the United States actually thwarted the actual attack that Iran discovered Israel was going to commit against the United States. So again, Iran actually literally act more like our ally, like a friend, like a good old pal, looking out for our best interests by showcasing that Israel was going to attack us, commit an act of terrorism, and blame it on Iran. And then had the receipts to prove it, to which the United States responded and then actually literally stopped it. Folks, I don't even wish I could make this up. I would rather that be the most made up conspiratorial thing that to ever walk the news or social media. But this literally happened. This actually happened. And it's going to be covered in our videos today. So with that being said, let's get right into it. There, unfortunately, is quite a lot of ground to cover. And bam, it's the number one. We have the vice mayor accused of inciting violence. We have ICE has detained and arrested 6% of known something or another. The fact that ICE agents are deputizing bounty hunters, meaning terrorizing brown people for sport, for profit, is now literally a thing, like on top of all the other Nazi shit. Trump's generals are, of course, undercutting Trump because Trump is an idiot. The fact that we have 70 U.S. citizens already deported, and of course the New Jersey representative pleads not guilty. Like, she actually had to show up to court as a representative, show up to court and say, I did not assault the ICE officers. They assaulted me from doing my job. Like, this just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So let's start right from the top.
I gave it a shot, and I came in and had the procedure.
15-second unskippable ads. Nice. Oh, so we're not going to have audio here? Where's the, So, okay, France shot down a drone. That's fine. Israel opposition warns Trump over interference. Where the fuck is the... Oh, here we go. So, as I was looking for it, that's when it showed up. Iran shared intelligence with the U.S. about an alleged false flag operation planned by Israel to draw Washington in a full-scale war, state media reported. The plan involved orchestrating a destructive incident inside the United States to manipulate public opinion, as per the Tehran Times. Iran reportedly uncovered the Israeli plot with intelligence shared by a friendly nation and urgently contacted U.S. officials. My bad. A friendly nation told Iran, and Iran told the United States. Either which way, they did the right thing by letting us know that Israel, our ally, was going to attack us to justify this ridiculously unjust war. And then, of course, more propaganda. And then the fact that apparently we're kowtowing to Israel left, right, and center. Looks like we're having some technical difficulties with chat. So I can type. I mean, thank goodness, right? Why would my moderator not be able to type? Roles manager. Yeah, I don't know why. Try typing again, Anna, if you can hear me. Obviously, I can't type on your behalf. Obviously, this is not being very heavily reported either, because that goes counter to, the manufacturing of consent. So, it's going to be really awkward if nobody can chat, because then I'm going to feel lonely and awkward talking to myself all stream. That's really weird. Why on earth? Well, first of all, how do you even check users in chat? I don't know what this means. From what I'm seeing, it doesn't even show that you're in chat. Like, you're not even in the viewer thing. So, welcome DK Knight and welcome Snow Chicken God. if I'm looking at this thing correctly. In either case, I would probably refresh your screen, Anna, and make sure that you can get in. Subscribers only. Well, you are a subscriber, so that doesn't make sense either. Oh Jesus. When did that get checked? I fucking hate this software, man. All right, well, it was subscribers only chat, so I turned that off. I don't understand this shit. I really don't. It's like, oh, we're one of the very few channels that are actually dissenting against public opinion and the story that's being manufactured by mainstream media. And so, hey, let's just fuck with his stream as much as possible. But yeah, anyway, so technical difficulties aside, apparently, I'm going to have to start checking to make sure that my chat just didn't randomly go to subscribers only, which is stupid. Next on our list, please rate your ads experience off.
The vice mayor of Cudahy is facing backlash this morning for allegedly calling on a local street gang to, quote, defend their territory from ICE agents. She says she's now being investigated.
First of all, that's the singular most based thing anybody in power and office could have ever said ever. Hey, gang members, you're talking about, having your territory and being the big, cojones in town. Why don't you own up to that shit and protect your territory from these terrorist thugs? That's the most base. And in fact, that's one of my strategies. Let me clarify what I mean by that. I genuinely do want to reach out to the most impoverished, crime-ridden parts of the country and earn their trust, because they deserve the dignity and respect of being reached out to and spoken with. Not spoken to, not spoken at, not told this is what I'm going to do for you, but to go into their areas where they are and ask them what they desire from me as a leader and a representative, right? I know for a fact that gangs exist and criminal activity exists because people lack the material conditions to achieve their livelihoods lawfully, right? By going to work, going to school, getting a trade, doing whatever X, Y, and Z. So they have to resort to criminal activity in order to survive. And yes, joining gangs allows you to thrive a little bit, live in a little bit of luxury, get to enjoy some of the finer things in life. And what does that do? It breeds more crime. It breeds more development of the gang until it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and becomes an actual problem and an actual threat to law-abiding citizens who are just also trying to survive and live their normal lives. You defeat crime by literally making it much more desirable to participate in society, to participate in the workforce, to participate in education, academia, whatever the case may be. You make life much more accessible and you eliminate crime. People don't become drug lords because I think this is what I want to do when I grow up. People become drug lords because they were either born into a mafia family or a crime family of some sort, or they worked their way up from the streets because, again, they were impoverished and they had to deal with that nonsense. Again, every country that has legalized drugs, and I'm talking all the way from marijuana to cocaine, the countries who have made it safe and legal to consume drugs and all Schedule I narcotics have significantly less drug use and crime than the countries who try and impose law and order. So the fact that she is saying, hey, time to stand up for your people, this is the most based thing any politician could ever say ever.
Investigated by the FBI. KTLA's Carlos Herrera, live in Cudahy with the details. Carlos, good morning.
Good morning, Frank. And we're talking about Cudahy Vice Mayor Cynthia Gonzalez, who's taking the heat for those comments made in that video. And now she's taken to Facebook saying that she needs a lawyer because she says the FBI showed up at her house after learning about that video. She says that they're investigating her for inciting violence against law enforcement officers.
Excuse me? Law enforcement officers are inciting violence against innocent people in the United States by denying them both due process and habeas corpus, which is an actual violation, a direct violation of the inalienable rights protected by the Constitution. So, who's inciting violence? The Nazis who are kicking down doors looking for Jews, demanding to be shown their papers? Or the vice mayor who's like, you know what? If citizens are too afraid to stand up and I can't even trust my own law enforcement, I guess we're going to have to rely on gangs to protect people? No. Fuck all of that. Quote me.
Not for nothing, but I want to know where all the cholos are at in Los Angeles. 18th Street, Florencia. Where's the leadership at? Because you guys are all about territory, and this is 18th Street, and this is Florencia. You guys tag everything up, claiming hood. And now that your hood's being invaded by the biggest gang there is, there ain't a peep out of you.
Honestly, I don't even view what she just said as legitimately asking them to step up. I feel like she's being snarky. Like, to me, this is just being sassy. This is like, you know, with all this shit going on, I don't hear the gangsters doing anything about it. It's like, man, this is my territory, man. This is where I am, SA. This is all about it, SA. But then when the real gangsters show up, y'all are like, this is your home. Here, here's the red carpet. Here are the keys. Would you like some tea? Can I get you a massage? You know, we actually have wonderful young women who are very amenable to easing your discomforts. Would you like to partake? I feel like she was just being sassy, like, hey, gangsters, why don't you start being gangster against a real gang instead of each other? Huh? Time to get real. That's what it felt like to me. And that sounds like, exactly, that sounds like some shit you'd say. This sounds like the shit that people would say just talking shit on social media. It's like, damn, ICE is all up in the hood right now. I'm surprised the Bloods, the Crips, the Cholos, I don't know what other gangs she just listed off, but like, man, I'm surprised none of them are, interfering. It's kind of crazy that ICE is just running rampant in the hood when isn't it supposed to be like the most crime-ridden, scary place in the country and in the city? And ICE is just going through it like, what's up? So honestly, I feel like she's just being cheeky. Now, that being said, if she's being sincere, most base thing ever. The fact that she's saying it at all to be cheeky even is freaking hilarious. But that the FBI is investigating her and that she is a vice mayor and needs legal support, like, doesn't the city of wherever she's the vice mayor of, I think it's LA, have the ability to provide legal support for her? Like, doesn't she get the prosecutor's office? Like, doesn't she get the AG? Like, am I missing something here? Shouldn't she have some of the best legal defense in the country comparatively? Like, what?
That's the shocking video that was posted on Instagram by elected official Cynthia Gonzalez,
If that's shocking, then we cannot call ourselves rebels and not afraid of anything in the most revolutionary country of all time, because if that was a shocking video, wow, we are worse off than I feared, because that wasn't anything. That's the same. Like, I would have pictured a semi-racist Karen saying the same exact thing. Oh, why aren't all these gangsters, all these thugs, all these, tough men, where are they at right now with ICE on all this? They're talking about my people, my hood, my country, but now when ICE is coming down, you don't hear a peep out of them. See, they're just talking all that shit, trying to be dangerous. Like, I could picture a white Karen saying the same thing in the same exact way, but because she's Latina and vice mayor, all of a sudden this is shocking. Fuck off.
The vice mayor of the city of Cudahy, it's a small town within LA County. The government
so she's vice mayor of a smaller part.
It's not for the federal government, but allegedly for the cholos.
Yeah, but here's the thing. This is what's walking down the street of Los Angeles and the surrounding areas. Hold on a second. We just got a post request here. So your comment kind of got flipped because I had to approve it. So sorry about that. But I'm open to the debate of you don't like Silwa or Mamdani. I'm assuming you don't like Adams or Cuomo either. So, I mean, who would you support? I think that would be the better question. Because if it isn't the opposition, then you're supporting essentially the status quo. Oh, no one. Nobody piques your interest. I mean, that's fair, though. Because here's the thing. Mamdani gives... He says the right things, just like Bernie said the right things, just like AOC originally said the right things. But fundamentally, Bernie capitulated after 8 years, and AOC sold out pretty much within her first term. So as a regular citizen, as a non-political junkie, as just somebody who would view what the past of the Democrats are and this Democrat Mamdani, what he's doing, I could see where your apprehension is. I 100% could see it. Because has Mamdani done anything in his career as a state representative to back up the rhetoric that he is trying to claim for New York City? I mean, that's the question that we all need to ask. And New Yorkers especially should be asking. If he doesn't have the history of backing it up, and doesn't have the courage to post loudly and proudly unless or until he has popularity, then it does seem like a fair weather movement for him. I can see where people would make that connection. So, like for me, I've been beating the drums since day one. I went on CNN when I was running for DNC chair, and I told the DNC altogether, the Democrats, the entire establishment party, that their voters view them as corrupt and that they feel betrayed. And that if you don't start going back to rural America, you're going to lose relevancy in in every electoral race there is. And sure enough, that was prophetic. Do you really want Mr. Guardian Angel running your city? I mean, Silwa is a lunatic as well. He said years ago that the angel should go around and rough up poor neighborhoods to show them that crime does not pay. Yeah, that's sociopathic right there. And that's exactly the same shit, right? So it's the same shit but reversed. And Silwa is calling for the Hells Angels to rough up poor neighborhoods, whereas the vice mayor is calling for the gangs to protect the neighborhoods. Again, that is at least more believable and more supportive of community than clearly what Silwa said. And where's the evidence that Mamdani believes this and has the ability to... Oh, Guardian Angels is the... I see. My mistake. I wasn't aware that that was the actual... My bad. Not very familiar with the the criminal syndicates throughout the country. I'm running for president. Yeah, I'm going to be the president one day. Not the Pablo Escobar of the United States of America. Dang. So the Guardian Angels are a gang, though. That's crazy. What a name to pick, too. You got the Hells Angels, who's a very violent, or was a very violent biker gang. And then you have the Guardian Angels, who are also a gang. That's kind of wild to me. You're going to have to fill me in a little bit, because I am today years old when I learned this. Well, either way, what kills me is that there's all this brouhaha over a mayor desperately calling for assistance for her own citizens, that she would even reach out to criminal elements to prevent these domestic terrorists who refuse to follow the Constitution, refuse to follow the law, and respect people's rights. I mean, can you blame her? They are a force that claims to assist the NYPD in helping to keep crime down, but Silva basically uses them for whatever he wants. Yeah, now that's fucking disturbing as shit. And then it's no different than deputizing bounty hunters to go hunt illegal immigrants for $1,000 to $1,500 per immigrant. Like, do you understand? Like, the most immigrants live with their whole family. And since we don't give a shit about due process or habeas corpus at this point, apparently, you could literally just go door to door and grab families of 5 and get anywhere from 5,000 to what? 7,500 per home. And that's 15 minutes, because how many people are going to resist when somebody comes in looking like that? If that person came knocking on your door, the last thing on your mind is, I'm going to close this door and be belligerent, because somebody dressed like that is ready for that. It wants you to, is begging, screaming for you to do that. So the only thing that you're going to do is more than likely comply out of fear for your safety. And it would be legitimate fear for your safety, because, again, ICE agents are already reportedly acting as serial killers, serial rapists. People are masquerading as them and assaulting women and elderly and the whole 9 yards. Like, we already have the human rights violations that were committed by Nazis happening right now, except we're calling them ICE this time around. And deputizing bounty hunters to boot. The Nazis didn't deputize bounty hunters. They had the SS, which were the prime investigators, and they had the Gestapo, which were just the regular grunts who went door to door and wherever the SS told them to. ICE is deputizing or interfering with or consuming, I guess, law enforcement, and now also hiring bounty hunters so that they can maintain a 3,000 migrant deportation per day quota, which is insane regardless, because as we have discovered, there are 62 million Hispanic people living in this country, and every single one of them are deemed a threat, an illegal, an immigrant, whatever have you, according to this administration. So what, we're not going to stop until we have removed 20% of the fucking population of the United States? That's disgusting. It's disturbing. It's absolutely fucking disturbing. So the fact that we have Silva, who does use criminal elements to enforce whatever policies they want, and the fact that we have an untested candidate who is promising to do all these things but doesn't necessarily have the record to back it up, I see, I don't necessarily agree, but I see where you are coming from, and I won't argue against it. I will not debate you against your very valid concerns, because from your point of view, that's exactly what you're seeing. You're seeing Silva, who is using criminals for their own personal agenda, and you see Mamdani, who doesn't have the historical references that he can or will pursue these agendas. Like, I'm not even saying he has to be successful. Did he propose these things while in the state assembly? Did he support bills that did these things? Did he co-author? Did he co-sponsor? Was he in committees that dealt with these things? Is he working with experts in the field, for instance, that are familiar with these policies? Is he bringing them on his team? Are they listening to him? Is he listening to them? Right? Is there credibility backing his words? Right? I quit my job. I left active duty to pursue politics. And by just simply observing how the Democrats treated candidates around me, I was able to make correct assumptions and decisions and format policy around it. And then I went forward and presented it. And then I presented it and presented it and presented it. I stuck to my guns every time I ran for office, whether it was as a Democrat, a Republican, a Green, or an independent. I have no party loyalty, which is why I am a streamer and not a grifter or a puppet to be marionetted by whichever party, right? But see, I have the credibility that for the past 10 years, about 10 years now, I have been saying the same thing day after day after day after day. I have not deviated from that mission in the slightest. If anything, I've become more intense on my mission statement. So that's credibility. That's 10 years of actions, of consistency. Does Mamdani have that? I can't say that. I have no idea personally if he does. I met the man personally. He says some right things. He has some great ideas, but he strikes me as not courageous enough to really push back against opposition. And I would be concerned about that as a New Yorker. But as a New Yorker, I would rather shoot for the moon and hit the stars. You know what I'm saying? So that being said, I think we covered as much as we need to of this video here. Let's
If I died tomorrow, I'd have only one regret. Not telling.
So this should be
exclusive on the ongoing battle at the border. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, known as ICE, has ramped up raids across the country. It's part of President Trump's push to deport migrants accused of violent crimes, the people the administration describes as the worst of the worst. But after months of aggressive action, new ICE data obtained by NBC News shows the agency has arrested only a small fraction of undocumented immigrants already known to have been convicted of crimes like sexual assault and homicide. NBC News senior Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley has...
I thought the Trump administration bragged that they got all the criminals off the streets already and that they're going after everybody else. Like, I thought the whole reason why they started going after civilians and workers and just regular folks is because they ran out of actual criminals to target. I mean, that's what's been reported since day one anyway. But here we are hearing the opposite. So this should be interesting.
As more.
Good morning, Joe. So we are able to look at two ICE data sets. One we've obtained exclusively that gives a fuller picture into the problem that the Trump administration said it would solve by these mass deportations when they came into office. In September, the ICE under the Biden administration told Congress there were over 400,000 immigrants at large that were not detained by ICE that had criminal convictions. And of those,
I mean, now, don't get me wrong. If there really are, and I'm going to very much so emphasize if there really are 400,000 immigrants, and now that's obviously not just saying it's because they said immigrant, but let's just say for the sake of argument, they're all undocumented. That's a pretty substantial number. 400,000. You know what else is a pretty substantial number? Is also 400,000. And that's how many rape kits aren't tested every single year. What's another interesting and substantial number? 400,000, believe it or not. That's approximately how many elected positions are in the United States altogether. Meaning from federal, state, all the way down to county and local, there are approximately, I believe the number is 465,000-ish. How many total elected positions in the USA? Oh, come on. Elected positions in the USA for federal, state, county, and local. I remember finding this before and finding it fascinating. Oh, okay. It's actually around 500,000. So I guess it's gone up. I guess that makes sense. More population, more positions that need filling to get the proper representation. So the fact that the number is growing makes sense. Okay. So there's around 500,000 elected positions, which includes the federal positions, the state, and the local and county positions. All right. So 500,000 people are running this country, give or take. And there's 400,000 migrants who are apparently convicted criminals that are at large. Which, if they're convicted, how are they at large? That means they went through the trial, which means they were in custody, which means they were already detained. So that sounds like you did a catch and release, and now you don't know how to keep tabs on them. Another fun fact I think we should know about with this 400,000 number is how many police officers in the USA? Over 900,000. And I think we actually did the numbers before. It was like 1.3 million if you add federal agents. So there's literally 3 officers per convicted migrant that's on the loose across the entire country. So there's 400,000 loose, and there's 3 cops per the 400,000. There's 3 cops per the one of the 400,000. And somehow we need to terrorize mom and pop shops, restaurants, landscaping companies, construction areas, factories, warehouses, farms. We need to terrorize those places. Something ain't adding up, folks. 400,000 convicted offenders is a scary number. It really is. I'm not going to sit here and say it isn't. That's absolutely terrifying. I was like, damn, I did not know that. That's a significant percentage. That's 4% of the total illegal immigration numbers in the United States, which is around 11 million. So 400,000, I mean, that's pretty significant. That's literally 4%. That's not nothing. That is not nothing. 4% of all illegal immigrants are convicted criminals. But see how the statistics and the numbers start becoming less and less scary once you actually give them real credence, like when you put them into perspective. 400,000, big number. 4% is a big number when it's convicted criminals, sure, but 4% isn't a majority. It's a very, very small minority. 4% is the the plus or minus allowance for quality, which, sure, when we're talking about life-saving procedures, 4% is humongous. When we're talking about 4% weight limit on a bridge, that's not that bad at all. So, in context, 400,000 immigrants who have a DUI or what have you, selling flowers on the street without proper permits. Right, exactly. What were they convicted of? Because I can't possibly imagine that there are 400,000 murderers on the loose. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, you can manipulate data however you want. If these are 400,000 people with like anywhere from a speeding ticket to a DUI being the worst, then this is a big nothing burger. This is 400,000 people, just people. You know how many speeding tickets I have? Well, maybe we shouldn't say that. Never mind. How many speeding tickets do you have? Okay, don't judge me. All I'm saying is 400,000 is a scary number, and it's being used as a scary number on purpose because NBC is part of the propaganda machine. So anyway,
13,000 of those, over 13,000, had known homicide convictions. At the time...
Okay. So again, 13,000 homicide convictions, that's quite a bit. That is small Midwestern towns. Well, larger Midwestern towns, I guess. That's not nothing. So if they had homicide convictions, why aren't they in prison? What you arrested them, sent them to prison, took them out of prison, brought them to the courtroom, went through the whole trial process. The jury convicted them. The judge sentenced them. And then, while chained and cuffed and in bright orange clothing, they just walked out of the court. No, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Then candidate Trump seized on that and criticized the Biden administration for not doing more on immigration, and they continued to vow to go after the worst of the worst. Well, we understand that since that point, ICE has arrested over 185,000 immigrants. That includes some arrested under the Biden administration, but only 752 of those had homicide convictions. In fact, only over 65,000 of those had any kind of serious criminal conviction, and that includes immigration violations and traffic violations. So
that's not a serious criminal violation. Those are minor misdemeanors. A misdemeanor is still not a serious criminal violation. You can still get a job with a misdemeanor. It's felonies that start to fuck you up. Unless the misdemeanor was theft. That might keep you from getting a job. But being an illegal immigrant is like getting a speeding ticket in terms of the weight of law. And the lady just said the crimes being illegal immigration and speeding tickets. So they are reporting on all of these numbers, which are scary big numbers, and then like these serious criminal convictions. Quit doing the job of Goebbels, you fucking sociopaths. Let Stephen Miller be the propagandist. Let him be Goebbels. Y'all need to stop aiding the enemy. This is bullshit. Fuck you, NBC.
What this data shows altogether is that if you're concerned about immigration as a national security or public safety threat, it is actually not the vast arrest, the ones that we've seen across the country where people are being tackled to the ground. A lot of questions coming up now about ICE tactics. It's not clear that those tactics and the mass arrest and the increase in ICE enforcement is actually making a large dent when it comes to the numbers of known threats to ICE. And I talked.
This fucking bitch, this privileged white woman is literally fanning the flames of xenophobia and discrimination and bigotry with the way she is saying this shit. Fuck this. I'm not giving her a single extra platform. Who the fuck is this lady? Julia Ainsley is a fucking racist. She's a racist. I'm calling it right now. She's a fucking racist. No. We didn't get 6%. Well, of the detainees, only 6% were people convicted of homicide. So, and what they were saying is that there's 400,000 known criminals that are undocumented migrants, and that 13,000 of them were actual homicides. So, Julia Ansley is a racist. Julia Ansley is a racist Karen. Racist Karen. I'm out of water. Hold on a second. Let's play this while I'm... Or let's get another 15-second unskippable ad, apparently. Oh, it's skippable.
Trump's top general just undercut one of the
let's let this play a little bit. Let me grab some water.
From him, and that is that the country is under invasion. And he's not the only Trump insider who appears not to be totally in line and in step with what the president has been saying when it comes to big issues in front of him. I want to start by playing an exchange with Brian Schatz, the Democratic senator on Capitol Hill yesterday, and General Dan Kane, who's the chair of the...
Also, real quick, because nobody cares, right? I mean, we care, but we want to get to the meat of potatoes, talk about it, and then move on. But what's really important is the fact that I didn't skip leg day yesterday. And holy Christ, the memes, man. Once you're over 30 and you don't skip leg day, it's like getting hit by a car. Like, good Lord, man. I don't know how many of y'all do some fitness stuff. I mean, we're on Twitch, so I can't imagine there's a whole lot of us doing fitness stuff. But, dude, if you're going to do squats, and I'm talking real squats, like with the barbell and all that, like not the Smith machine or whatever. Yeah, okay, Anna. All right, cool. I'm sorry. We have a cool kid in the chat. My bad. Anyway, doing the real squats, like if you are over 30 and you haven't done squats in probably as many years, do not put weight on that bar. Just don't do weight on the bar. Next week, maybe put like 10s or 20s on it and then go there. But I did 135 thinking, joke's on me. Oh yeah, we'll all be demanded to wear those fitness wrist stuff thanks to Brainworm, dude. Oh yeah, no, over my dead body. He's gonna try and trip all of us? Nah. Like, if that happens during this administration and I haven't achieved any sort of national name recognition yet, you will know my name. You will 100% know my name. And it will probably be said in the same breath as Luigi. Let me tell you. You do squats with dumbbells? Yeah, I mean... I kind of wonder if I should have done that instead. That might have been less terrible. I think... Well, I mean, because the thing is, the movement, right? The squat movement, whether it's with dumbbells or... like, you're doing the whole quad. And it's doing all of your leg muscle all at once. Whereas, like, if you do the machines, you can kick it up, you can pull it down, you can do the glute one, you can do the squishy ones or the pulley apart ones. You can do calf raises. But when you do a squat, it's all of that. Oof. Anyway.
Joint Chiefs the president put in place.
Is the United States being invaded by a foreign nation?
First of all, listen to this guy's voice again.
Is the United States being invaded by a foreign nation?
And look at this man's face. I don't remember the actor's name. Let me find it. It was... I don't remember his name. But it was the guy in that comedy movie who was like, would you like to try my wieners? But then he's like a normal actor now. Sounds and looks just like this guy. Like, this guy looks like a Temu version of that guy. That was the first thought I that went through my brain when I saw this guy. Oh wow,
Sure,
4-star.
Thanks for your question.
They called this man a lieutenant general, and he has 4 stars on his shoulder here. Being, it doesn't matter what branch of the military you're in. 4 stars is full general. So how the fuck CNN doesn't know that is beyond me. But you know, whatever, I guess.
I think at this point in time, I don't see any foreign state-sponsored folks invading, but I'll, be mindful of the fact that there has been some border issues throughout time.
If we use sound effects on the show, it would be a screeching sound.
100%. I mean, this, if you're out there in the audience, you might be wondering, okay, so why is this significant? Well, actually, you just had a top general undermine the administration's justification for the primary way that they've been trying to remove migrants, to deport migrants, including to a terrorism prison in El Salvador. This is the main justification behind the Alien Enemies Act, saying that a foreign state is invading the United States. Here, you have a top military official saying, well, actually, that's not the case. We're not under invasion. Completely undermines a major argument by the administration. And it also is backed by reporting that we did that found that intelligence assessments also found that the United States isn't being invaded by a foreign state, which probably many Americans that are living their average lives would say, well, of course, we're not being invaded.
And so,
No, but that's actually interesting and nuanced and not propaganda for a change. And I know what you're all thinking. Oh, it's propaganda when it doesn't go with your preconceived notions and your agenda on this stream. But when it does go with your agenda and preconceived notions on the stream, it's not propaganda. All right, bring it on. Go ahead. Lay it on me. That's fine. That's what this channel's about. That's why I am putting myself out there. 48th president in the fucking Oval talking about this shit, right? But here's the thing. If you have a general saying things like we are not being invaded by a foreign enemy, it is absolutely undermining the very cause and purpose of saying, well, no, we get to do all this heinous shit because we're being invaded by a foreign government. When in reality, you're just being racist and trying to justify your racism and xenophobia to push forward your isolationist and white supremacist agenda. You're trying to use war powers that haven't been used at all. I don't think it's ever been invoked, actually. The point being, you have a top general be like, no, it's my job to know if we're being invaded by a foreign country. Even if the invasion is by sending criminals over the border, and I can't even say that. So that's why what he is saying is correct. Because it is the context. That general is the subject matter expert on that subject. Did you see Paul Krugman's take on Zoran's win? Can't say that I did. I was in midair when New York City's election results came in, and I'm still not quite home. So again, not a proper post, but a few late morning reactions from the road. First, mea culpa for not paying more attention to the race. Second, I was enormously cheered by Mamdani's victory. Not because I think he'll be a great mayor. Honestly, I have no idea, which was the discussion we had with Darksage earlier. But because a Cuomo victory would have been deeply depressing, because it would have been an affirmation of elite impunity and a lack of accountability, which is true. I mean, the establishment lost. That was the indictment. That was the indictment. That was the message that was being sent. Democratic voters don't want establishment Democrats. They want the establishment to change. Be establishment. The Democrats will gladly vote for AOC and Bernie Sanders at this point. They will gladly vote for those two. But that's because they are sick and tired of the Cuomos, which are Trump lights. They're sick of the Nancy Pelosi's. They're sick of the Chuck Schumers and the Jeffries, right? So This is just proof that the party needed to have listened to me 8 years ago in the first place and needs to listen to the voters now in the present. They should have listened to me then, and they should be listening to the people now. But they're not, because they're in bed with the donors, which is the exact same problem. They don't need to be in bed with the donors. Again, Bernie Sanders is capable of raising $1 billion on his own, just because it's his name attached to it. Democrats could be the party of the people. All they have to do is go to where the people are. And they refuse to do that. And they're going to double down. And they're going to lose. And they're going to waste more money. And then they're going to spend the next 4 years trying to undermine Zoran if he becomes mayor, instead of supporting him, which is going to waste more money, more energy, and alienate more people, which is why the Democratic Party is dead. And we should let it die. So, but on this video, I think we covered the main point there. So that's nice. Kyle Kalinske. Let's hear what he has to say.
So you want to talk about a nightmare scenario. Let's say you're an American citizen. You know, you got your driver's license, you got your passport, you got your social security card, you got all that shit, right? Birth certificate, yada, yada. Let's say immigration arrests you and then deports you, even though you're an American citizen. That's like something out of a fucking nightmare, right? I mean, it's something out of a nightmare, even if you're not a U.S. citizen. But particularly if you are a U.S. citizen, you got to be fucking losing your mind, right?
But wait, I thought U.S. citizens had due process. That they would be violating my rights as an American citizen if they deported me and I was an American citizen and they didn't give me a chance to prove it, or I did have a chance to prove it but they didn't believe me. That's against the law. So they couldn't do that because they'd be breaking the law, and they wouldn't do that because that would be breaking the law.
Right? If something like that were to happen. Well, guess what? Listen to this. Ice in hot water. Dozens of U.S. citizens wrongfully deported in shocking immigration blunder. Now, that's where they're wrong. Is it actually a blunder?
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
All right. Now, by the way, hang tight because you're about to learn a fact which is mind-boggling, which really puts in perspective just how bad it is, okay? Shocking report reveals over 70 Americans mistakenly removed from the country in a startling revelation. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has deported dozens of U.S. citizens over the years, raising serious concerns about civil rights violations and the integrity of immigration enforcement, according to a recent report highlighted by Migrant Insider.
So wait. It's been 70 Americans between 2015 and 2020. How about the Americans that we know of? There's at least 32 rotting in El Salvador. So there were 70 over the course of 5 years, and we've already hit half of that within the first 30 days of this administration. So I don't know what month or year this was from 2 hours ago. All right, but buddy, this article is from a long time ago. So I hope you're gonna get to the present here, because we have probably detained far more than 70 American citizens, which is the point. We're not targeting migrants. We're targeting people who are brown and speaking Spanish at work sites. Kidnapping them from the fucking schools. Tricking them into coming to the courtrooms and then pressuring the judges to dismiss their cases so that they lose their legal status. We are creating more illegal immigrants than there were to begin with. So let's hopefully he covers that.
This is one analysis. I've seen other analyses that are even worse. That's like 99% are not undocumented immigrant violent criminals. 93%. So in other words...
Right. You were targeted. Thank God nothing happened to you, but just because it didn't happen to you doesn't mean it literally couldn't have and literally hasn't, which is the crazy part, like which is the scary part, the dangerous part. That person who targeted you was perhaps actually trying to do their job. They were still racially profiling you, but they were trying to, at least aside from that crime, do their job. And that's the thing. When you have to say, well, despite them committing the crime of profiling and discrimination and violating your rights under false pretenses despite all that, it seems like they were genuinely looking for people that were bad. Like, that's where we fucking are in this country. Well, the cops may have violated my rights, may have broken down my door, may have broken my ribs, may have shot my dog, but in their defense, they were looking for a bad guy who turns out was nothing like me at all. But hey, you know, they have a job to do. Like, that's what Americans sound like right now. And it's insane. The only way these idiots will shut up about their defense of these violations is if they get deported themselves, like MTG and Jim Jordan. Dude, the director of the FBI got swatted, and he's still beating the racist drums, and he's Muslim. Well, I'm actually... Nope, now I'm being discriminatory. I actually don't know what Kash Patel's race or religion is, but he's brown. He's brown. And he's still beating the drums. It's fucking insane.
If you're going to take, like, you know, a Trump voter who's not...
Pop! Hey, welcome to the conversation. Yes, we are all fucking screwed. And honestly, I am deeply concerned about members of my family visiting from overseas. Deeply concerned. Apparently, Ohio hasn't gone full-bore racist Gestapo quite yet. But it is happening. That Norwegian guy who had the meme of JD Vance got turned around. Could you... what? That's not even a threat. That wasn't even a threatening meme. JD Vance was alive. He was just fat and bald. He wasn't being guillotined. It wasn't death to JD Vance. It wasn't death to America. It wasn't him headless next to a bunch of other headless politicians. It was a funny haha meme that got this Norwegian, pasty white, like Kyle's hair white, and that got him deported back to Norway. Like, are you fucking serious?
Too political, and they just were duped into supporting Trump, and, you know, they're not really crazy about all his ideas, but they were like, I like him better than Kamala. Take somebody like that, right? Usually when you talk to somebody like that, what they say is, yeah, Trump wants to do mass deportations, but he only wants to go after the illegal criminals, right? That's what they say. Well, as this shows right here, Cato, this is a right-wing outlet, right-wing think tank. 93% of these people are not violent criminals. So they're breaking up families. They're breaking up innocent families. All right, I got more for you. This is hard to read. Listen, like, this hits hard. This is just a few of the things that we learned.
Right. So the Marine veteran was very recently. The next page showed about how they have caused miscarriages from pregnant women who were detained, forced to sleep on concrete, and then due to the obvious and completely justifiable stress that they are undergoing and anxiety, caused their body to miscarry. Like, absolutely fucking disgusting shit. Disgusting shit. We don't need to do the rage porn per se, but because we're just getting started, baby. It's 8 o'clock and we're only like not even a third of the way through here. But suffice to say, oh, this is a different one. This is the active duty Marine wife. That was unless there's yet another one, wouldn't surprise me. But that's kind of the point. They're going after military spouses, so they clearly don't give a shit about anything. Oh, okay, so there's another one that's Army. Even worse, like Army, Marines, Air Force. Like, most of the guys I served with in Okinawa ended up with Japanese wives. The ones that stayed in Japan longer, I should say. So no, like, that's not okay. That's like a very common thing. If you get stationed overseas, you tend to come back home with a wife. And because they're young, not because like women are green card seekers or any of that nonsense. I mean, that happens, but you come back because you're young and you're in the military and you're in a foreign country and it's like, ooh, you're so handsome. And like, yeah, yes, I am. And you're very pretty. It's like, oh, and love happens. Or pregnancy. That's most of the time. But hey, we don't judge here. Point being, going after like the most low-hanging fruit communities and areas of society, going after military spouses, going after work sites that are traditionally immigrant workers, such as warehouses, factories, farm hands, landscapers, and services such as cleaning crew, or I don't know if there's a special name for it, but the people who do the laundry at hotels and such. And then, of course, restaurant workers. Like, this is racial profiling on steroids, and you're going after people that are just living their lives. I don't give a shit if honestly, as president, I could not give less of a... I will sign an executive order granting citizenship, not green card, not visa, citizenship, and a social security card, fresh off the fucking press, and $1,000 towards rent or something. I don't even, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't... This is insane to me. Like, this is immigration in America landed the free with the Statue of Liberty, the give us your poor, hungry, starving, huddled masses. You know, that country, the United States of fucking America, the melting pot nation of the world, that America? How is immigration even an argument? You're an immigrant. You're in America. America, whose motto is E pluribus unum, although we're going to change that. I think we are going to change that. I will put in yet another executive order. Ex multis unum fumus. Out of many we become one. Bam. Rubber stamp. And you know what? That doesn't... Quote me. Go ahead and clip this shit. Put it on TikTok. As president, I will sign an executive order to grant unilateral citizenship to all migrants who are currently undocumented, who have legal status, or otherwise wish to become American citizens. Yes, that is going to include those with criminal convictions, and yes, that will include those with homicide convictions, and if they have, for whatever reason, not served their time to their community, to their state, or to their country, they in fact will go to prison and serve their time accordingly. And if they're repeat offenders, guess what? They get the same justice treatment as any other citizen would. And bam. Done. Done. This is a non-issue. This is a non-issue. If you're a criminal and you come to the United States and you commit a crime, you go to jail. You go through. You get arrested. You go to trial. You're found guilty. Then you go to jail, right? And if you're part of a gang organization, it's not a stretch to just label all organized criminal organizations as terrorist groups. This isn't a stretch. It's a cartel with international connections that commit acts of violence and terrorism. This isn't even like stretching. Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, that seems like a little authoritarian. No, it's not. The cartels murder people, go after government assassinations, go toe-to-toe with federal agencies and militaries. Like, that's damn near its own fucking country. And guess what? You try and come into this country, you get got. Done. End of story. Welcome to America. You die. Right? So, like, the immigration is the biggest non-issue that is being made a ridiculous issue in our country, and across the board at different levels of elections and electoral politics. Oh, we can't have immigrants in our little town and bumfuck nowhere, Idaho, because we're white and we don't like them people up down here because we're Mormon and we like to fuck our sister wives. Like, bro. Who fucking cares if Jorge moves into Mormontown? Who fucking cares? Who gives a shit if Jesus is picking blueberries in California or mowing your lawn, or Maria is folding your linen at the hotel, or right? And then the Chapo family is being protected. So, like, again, actual terrorist organization, cartel. So They're protecting actual threats to the safety and security of the international community. But Maria, the housekeeper, she's gots to go. Biggest, dumbest, nothing issue burger of all time. And again, quote me. Quote me. I want to become as popular and prominent as Bernie Sanders, Hassan, all of these prominent figures. I want to be as famous or more than them. And some fucking chud on the internet goes viral with this clip of where I said I could give a flying fuck less who wants to become an American citizen. We can rubber stamp the shit out of it, open all of our fucking borders, and if and when you decide to commit crimes here, or if and when you are associated and found to be affiliated with these criminal organizations, you will be dealt with accordingly, just like the regular citizens. Again, it's white people shooting up schools, hospitals, churches, nightclubs, places of work. Homicide rates against spouses is highest amongst white middle-aged men. My demographic. We don't put them on the terrorist watch list. We don't put them and make it a blanket thing like all white men are dangerous fucking sociopaths, but God forbid one black man shoots one white person in a disagreement. All black people are thugs and gangsters. Fuck off. Okay? Open borders. Yes, there will still be checks at the borders, right? You're still going to have border something. Of course, Border Patrol is doing the work of ICE as well. So, yeah, we're going to investigate the shit out of them and make sure we purge the Nazis. But, I mean, a Border Patrol, that function is still going to exist. Welcome to America. Yep, your name is Hernandez. All right, cool. And you're with your wife. All right, cool. Hello, how's it going? Oh, 2 little ones. Nice, cool. All right, cool. Yeah. Come on in. Sweet. Oh, we have the drug-sniffing dogs. Shit. Well, I smell the cocaine and the heroin and the fentanyl. So, yeah, you're going to prison. Let's see. Actually, it looks like you're on Interpol as part of MS-13. Shame. All right, next vehicle. Like, this is not rocket science, folks. This is not rocket science. We can be humane and have a secure border and have migrants and a process that isn't ludicrously expensive or ludicrously unethical. This is the biggest nothing burger in politics because it's driven by white supremacy, ultranationalism, and let's just keep it simple and call it pure, unfiltered, unmitigated, unadulterated racism. That's all this is. Being against immigration is to be racist. Period. End of story. And we've never gotten past it. Ever since the slaves were freed, they became lazy. Ever since black folk stopped working for free, they became lazy. Gee, interesting how that fucking works, right? So, no. Racism is as rooted in our nation's history and society and institutions as the Constitution itself. And that is what needs to go, not immigrants. Certainly not diversity. So, anywho, rant. What do we got here? Oh, yeah, the New Jersey rep that was doing her job has to show up before a court and say, I was doing my job.
McIver pleaded not guilty to federal assault charges against ICE agents. This stems from a chaotic scene outside an immigration detention center in Newark last month. Alan Devlin has the latest from federal court.
Democratic representative for New Jersey's 10th district, LaMonica McIver.
And this could easily be seen as political persecution, which is also illegal in the United States. Again, 128 Democrats betrayed not only their party, but their country by not supporting the articles of impeachment proposed by Congressman Al Green. So, like, it's not like there aren't methods to get this piece of shit out of the office. And it's not like there isn't a plethora of reasons to impeach this motherfucker. It's that we have a complicit Congress and a complicit SCOTUS aiding, abetting, and enabling this motherfucker, which means all of them need to be removed. All of them. Every congressman, every senator, every Supreme Court justice, every prosecutor, every fucking judge, every governor, every state legislator, every fucking mayor and councilman and whatever other elected official is aiding and abetting this breathtakingly, flagrantly rogue administration that's violating our Constitution like it's their job, instead of, protecting it. Every single one of those motherfuckers need to be removed from office and charged with conspiracy and treason at a fucking minimum. That's the video you forgot to add. Well, you better fucking add it. And many of those Dems are the leadership, people in safe blue districts, progressive like fucking Ronan. Right. That's just, so he's not progressive, because if he were progressive, he would have voted to impeach. So Ronan, another fucking coward.
Walked out of federal court Wednesday to cheers from supporters.
We stand with we stand with
Just moments earlier, McIver pled not guilty before a federal judge in her arraignment on federal assault charges against ICE agents.
And how much tax dollars are being wasted by forcing a United States Congresswoman to go before a federal judge? How much of our tax dollars was just because of this political showboating? Like, no. Because this is the literal legal process. So it's not showboating, it's not grandstanding. It's not theater, because this is real, this is actually happening. Because of this political persecution. I mean, I think that's the only word that we can really think of right now. She is being politically persecuted by the administration, by Pam Bondi, her blonde damn self, and wasting tens of thousands of tax dollars by keeping her out of Congress, out of the Capitol building, and unable to vote on whatever, or participate in the committee, or meet with her citizens, or do whatever, to go before a federal judge, which I'm certain costs money of some sort, although it's all federal budget. How that has to be $30,000 wasted right there. At least $30,000 wasted for what amounts to political theater, in the sense that it's the Trump administration playing the theatrics of, we're going to go after Democrats and hold them accountable.
They will not intimidate me. They will not stop me from doing my job. I will continue to do what the people of the 10th Congressional District elected me to do.
The charges stem from a May 9th visit to Delaney Hall by McIver and other New Jersey.
Look at this. If these armed thugs, I mean, that's what I mean. ICE are fucking criminal thugs here. I mean, I don't even if we should be calling anybody thugs, it's these motherfuckers. They are just manhandling these congresspeople from doing their jobs. If anybody should be arrested and being brought before a federal judge, it's literally everybody with a helmet and a jacket on with the words police or ICE. Like, it's those motherfuckers. Like, let's watch this. That motherfucker should be in jail.
To do what the people of the 10th Congressional District elected me to do.
Jail. That guy that's watching behind the fence. Jail. The guy who was apparently wearing the body cam. Jail.
The charges stem.
That guy that's right behind him. Jail.
From a May 9th visit to Delaney Hall.
This guy. Jail.
By McIver and other.
That guy. Jail.
New Jersey officials. McIver seen here in red.
The guys wearing the masks. Jail. They're the actual ones violating the rights of the congresswoman who has a constitutional obligation, not just the authority, obligation to go to this detention center and review it, which is exactly what she was doing. Those are the people that should be showing up before a judge, not the congresswoman. And again, quote me on that.
On a group of protesters and ICE agents.
I asked for
Delaney Hall is a facility that has been recently converted into a 1,000-bed ICE detention center. Protesters showed up to rally against its usage. McIver says she was invited on site for an inspection when the interaction between her and ICE agents happened. This is an interview with her the day of the incident.
We're here conducting an oversight visit, which we had the power to do as congressional members.
Well, so as it turns out, you have the authority, but you don't have the power. So let's talk about this real quick. Authority versus power. Power is the ability to influence others around you. And I'm quoting, mind you, the indigenous actress character in the Yellowstone series who pretty much shot down Trevor, the dude bro in the college class, for making a Pocahontas joke and a porn joke when she walked in. And the reason why I'm emphasizing that this is coming from a show and it's coming from an indigenous woman on top of that is because we do not as a society talk about what power is and what authority is, right? Because the words that we use in society most often is respect, but in context of an authority or as mutual, right? So power, that's the best ever example I've ever heard of the definition of power. Anyway, and it's really unfortunate when it is media because it makes you seem less authentic as a authority when you quote film and media instead of, you know, some dead white guy who wrote stuff. Point being, power is the ability to influence someone's future with or without their consent. That's power. Authority is power that is granted to somebody by a different power. It is power that is given. It is power that can be wielded, but it isn't power itself. An officer is authorized to speak to you under any circumstances that they deem necessary, but they also have the power to shoot you dead and the authorization to shoot you dead if they fear for their life. But actually, they don't have the power nor the authority to do either of those things because that's unconstitutional, because both of those things violate your 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments. The right to due process, habeas corpus, and a fair trial. So if you're just extrajudicially murdered, it violates all of that shit, right? So they actually don't have the authority, but they do have the power. Power that is not granted by the consent of the governed. Power that is granted through the authority and the power of governors, mayors, or whomever, and the fact that we are one of the most violent police states in the world. And of course have established more and more authority for the power of police that they also don't deserve nor need in order to conduct their business. So, when the Congresswoman says she has the power, well, no, she does not. Clearly she doesn't, because she was detained, and now she's being brought before a judge. So she doesn't have the power. She does have the authority, which in this instance should supersede the power and the authority of everyone else around her. But because she can't exercise her authority, meaning she is powerless, this is what we got, which goes even further. We are closer, if not, I mean, it's really a debatable concept at this point. Are we a dictatorship or are we not? By every definition of the term dictatorship or authoritarian government, where one entity dictates the rule of law and has the ability to enforce it, then by that definition we do. Because he has ignored SCOTUS, he's ignored federal judges, he is detaining and arresting congresspeople, he's threatening governors, he's activating the National Guard, he's ordering active duty troops to go into states to quell civil unrest, even though the civil unrest is peaceful. He's violating people's constitutional rights, even though they're not citizens. He's attacking foreign nations, granted on behalf of another foreign nation, which is treason. So, yeah, by every literal definition, we are an authoritarian regime right now with an actual dictator. Now, we still have scraps and wisps of democracy and republic, but if they are powerless to exercise their authority, right? Again, authority is supposed to trump power, but authority is worthless if it doesn't have power to back it up, right? I could have all the authority in the world. I could have God himself could come down from the heavens and declare to all of humanity that I have the authority to rule the entire human race. But if I don't have the power to back it up, I'm going to be dead. And then we're going to know God is real and that I'm dead. Those are the two things that we would know. All right. But with certain authority, right? The Trump administration is giving the authority of ICE to arrest congresspeople, to conduct these illegal raids, which is giving them power to conduct their authorized duties. And because they have that power and that authorization and the ability to exercise it, because people are afraid of being murdered or arrested or having worse things happen to them, they have the power to back the authority that is being granted by the dictator. You see where I'm going with this? Does that make sense? Like, I hope I'm not being too Professor Ronan here, because this is very, very important to understand when we talk about the nuances of revolution, the nuances of democracy, and the nuances of what the power of the people really means. Power of the people means collectively, we can burn this motherfucker down now. We could literally set this entire country on fire. We could walk out of every single job in the country and shut down our economy. We could occupy every single government building in the nation, and there is not enough law enforcement, federal agent, or military to stop us. That is power. Collective power. As an individual, you will get shot, arrested, detained, or worse. Right? That is the authority and the obligation of the First and Second Amendment and the Ninth Amendment. That's authority, but you don't have the power to really carry it out because the state has more power, even if they have less authority, to get in your constitutional rights way. Right? Because realistically speaking, police do not have the right to break up peaceful protests, nor to be present, nor to intimidate, threaten, or harass. They don't have that power. They don't have that authority. Neither of those two things actually exist. But because reasons, they do. Right? And again, I'm saying they don't have the authority based on the Constitution, which is the highest authority and power in the land, right? But again, if the authority is powerless to enforce it, then it doesn't exist. All right? Are we on the same page here? It gave the FBI clown a chance to self-reflect after getting threatened or treated the same way as immigrants, and he's still yielding power. Wielding is the word you're looking for. Correct, though. He is still wielding power and authority and exercising his Nazi rights. And it's disgusting. So, when I talk about power and authority, as President of the United States, I would follow the Constitution, but there have been precedents set. And I would be remiss to not exercise the power and authority that those precedents have set, which would be to unilaterally go after this criminal administration, declare them unlawful, and send them straight to the fucking Hague. When they are found guilty, well, I mean, they have committed international crimes. I guess it's a question of, do we send them to the Hague and then get them to come back here and then we do our trials here? I mean, all of it can still be done at like Central Park. You know what I mean? Either which way, like the precedents have already been set that the power and authority of Congress and the Supreme Court exists insofar as they are willing to go, right? Congress is not willing to go after Trump, and SCOTUS is not willing to go after Trump or any of his henchmen. They could. They absolutely can. It's literally right there. So as the president, I would absolutely do that. I would remove from power and the entrenched minions from every position in government. I would arrest them. I would charge them and give them their trial. And then when they are found guilty, because their crimes are very, 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 very public and well documented, they will suffer their just deserts. Some of them will be executed for crimes against the state, for treason, for sedition, for crimes against humanity, for war crimes, for incitement, for corruption, you name it. There are plenty of capital crimes that have been committed by this administration, and they will face capital punishment. That's why we got it. That's why it's necessary. I know there's a lot of doves out there that are like, sorry, I guess you're not going to vote for me now. But that's the rub. And I would have the power and the authority to do that through the consent of the governed. Because obviously the wealthy and the powerful aren't going to let me do that. Hell no. They're going to be like, articles of impeachment would run so quickly, but, I just declared all of them criminals and removed them from office. So, hey, you need to round them up. What do we do? What do we do? And then the people are going to have to be like, the president didn't fucking stutter. He is arresting you and charging you accordingly. Be grateful we're not ripping you limb from limb. So, yielding. Oh, okay, because he's allowing the lawlessness to continue. Well, he's not allowing it. He's causing it. He's encouraging it. He is ordering the lawlessness, which makes it legal. Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, yielding in this context is, I would argue, inaccurate. And I know we're arguing literal semantics, but to argue semantics, I guess. All right. Actually, no, we got to hear that again.
We're here conducting an oversight visit, which we have the power to do as congressional members.
You have the authority to do. You very clearly don't have the power, which is insane that a congresswoman doesn't actually have the power to exercise her authority. Now do you see why individualism is powerless even if the authority exists? Does that make sense? Better example, your manager has authority and your manager has power. I don't care if you're flipping burgers or you're working in a corporate office setting. Your manager has zero power or authority over you to make your life miserable because you can just walk away. You could also unionize. And I know unions nowadays don't have the same impact that they did back in the 50s and the 60s, but you could. They don't have the power nor the authority to stop you. They can't make you do their work for them. They can't force you to work extra without pay. They can't make you come in early and work without pay. They can threaten you. They can fire you. You can file retaliation against them. But if you and your entire office band together, all of a sudden, they get put on notice and they either fire everyone and have to go through that rigmarole, and more often than not get fired themselves for doing so, unless they're a franchise owner, in which case that's kind of rough. They just lose a lot of money, which is still nice, but you see where I'm going with this? Power and authority is all an illusion. Kings were beheaded by citizens, right? The French Revolution. Emperors rise and fall all the time. People fall from grace. Elon Musk tanked his $1 trillion enterprise, Tesla. He might have authority within his company. He had some authority in Doge. He might have power, the power of money. But we also have the power to tell him to fuck right off and boycott his ass into the ground. See where I'm going with this? People always have more power and authority than whoever is placed above them. That's the strength of humanity. Now, if the rich people start getting robots, that's going to be a little tricky. Not going to lie. That's going to be a little tricky. That is a lot of power to overcome. That is a lot of power to overcome. However, people would still be in the manufacturing process, the design process, the programming process, and I'm sure somebody would be putting in a back door to shut that shit down. So even then, even if we go into the cyberpunk future of robot AI everywhere thing and being used against the civilian population, we can still put those robots down. All right. Fucking John Connor, he fought. All right. He fought against the goddamn Terminator. He fought against Arnold. So we still have collective power. It's the individual power that's the illusion. The only reason why that lady got arrested is because there were like 30 heavily armed ICE agents and like none on her side. If she had brought Delta Force with her to accompany her, that shit would not have happened. That would have also been power, and it would have also been her authority to do so. I'm fairly confident Congress can request military escort pretty much wherever it's actually reasonable to go. It shouldn't have been reasonable or necessary to go to an ICE facility, but apparently it is now. So I want to see this congresswoman take a squad of Delta next time she goes to an ICE facility and see ICE shit their pants. Again, authority she already has. Power to exercise it. Yeah, he fought Arnold, but because Arnold was corrupted by an anti-Terminator Terminator. Well, he was part of the T-1000 series regardless. So again, let's not argue, okay? So anywho, I guess we'll cover this again.
Watch how coconut oil.
The Marine wife.
Is coconut.
Louisiana Marine Corps veteran says Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents detained his wife during a routine immigration appointment. Adrian Clouat and his wife were in the process of obtaining a green card. Now he is raising their 2 children, who are both less than 2 years old. CBS News reporter Katie Weiss spoke with Clouat this afternoon, and she's joining us now from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Again, how the fuck are you going to arrest a Marine's wife who are going through the legal process of getting an official green card? How the fuck are you going to do that? And how are you going to say that that is making this country safe when it's a Marine's wife? You just made this country infinitely unsafer by making a white Marine wifeless. Do you understand that an overwhelming majority of Marines are alcoholics and that they are taught in basic training for 30 days straight how to kill you with everything? They shoot everything and they do martial arts. Marines are infantry first, whatever their job is second. Literally, like, you could not have picked a worse target to target. I'm an airman, right? I was in the Air Force. I am whatever my job was first, PMEL, and personnel in the reserves. And a warfighter at some point. But actually not. There is... If I'm shooting a gun as a personnelist, we lost. Let's be clear about that. Okay. If you see an airman who is not security forces and not special forces, unless they volunteered for it, which I have volunteered for convoy duty and security forces, augmentee and stuff like that. I did volunteer for that stuff. Unless you actually volunteer to do the pew pew, you're not in the Air Force, right? So going after my foreign wife, significantly less of a domestic threat, just generally speaking. Because what's Poindexter going to do? Get an ouchie from getting out of his chair, which right now that would be true. Right? A Marine is trained to kill you for 3 months. And their job forever after that is to kill you first and then go back to whatever it was they were doing. But their priority is to kill you. So you just pissed off an actual killing machine, took away his crayon source. The fact that that man did not become an active shooter immediately, like Mr. ICE agent, you have about 5 seconds to unhand my wife before you don't have a functioning hand, is surprising to me, honestly. Very surprising to me, actually. All I'm saying is there is no arithmetic, no logic, no amount of politicalizing that you could do to say that taking the wife of a Marine is in any way making our country a better place. You don't have a leg to stand on regardless. Let's just be very clear on that. But you have, like, there is, what argument are you going to make? Well, he should have found a white woman. I mean, an American. Like, that's the only argument you can make. Well, did the Marines issue him that wife? Yes. Yes, they did. You just stole government property and made the other government property very, very angry. And really, you're going to target the military? Oh, wait, this administration already mocks the military. I'm just saying, veterans do tend to vote conservative more often. Well, let me rephrase. It does seem like active duty votes more conservatively than veterans do. Because veterans then get fucked by the government and then start to vote more liberally. But all of which is to say, you're really going to alienate people who are trained to fight and kill. Again, not the Air Force. Again, not the Air Force. We are not trained to do that. We are trained to sit in a chair and do this. All I'm saying. Biggest, dumbest mistake they could make. And the least defensible argument they can make.
Well, Baton Rouge here, this city, this is where they live. They had just moved here back in November from California, where they originally met. He says that his wife, Paula Cluat, was originally born in Mexico and was brought over here more than a decade ago by her mother when she was still a minor under asylum. She had no idea that she would be treated in this manner. In fact, they got married a year ago and had applied through all the proper channels for her to get a green card. When they came into the New Orleans ICE field office, they were totally shocked to see 3 ICE agents approach them and arrest her. Now, she's still breastfeeding their infant daughter, who was only 9 weeks old when his wife was detained, and now he's feeding their infant with formula, something that she didn't want to do. She wanted to be breastfeeding with her baby, and he says that he's also driving his children now twice a week, an 8-hour round trip to Monroe, Louisiana, where his wife is being detained. Take a listen to what this experience has been like for him.
I felt betrayed. I mean, they told us we had passed the interview and to wait for paperwork for our next one. And not only that, they knew I was a veteran. They knew that my wife was breastfeeding our 9-week-old daughter. And they just ripped her away from me and her children, from her breastfeeding the newborn daughter. It's almost inhumane. I cried the whole way to my car after I left the building.
What was the last thing you said to your wife?
I told her I love you and I'm gonna get you out. I'm gonna bring you back home.
And that guy is probably one of the only Marines who probably didn't become an actual sociopath. Also, you targeted the only nice Marine in all of human history and took his wife. Bro, I am telling you right now, and honestly, I am shocked that some of these online chuds have not reported my channel for saying these things. Maybe it's because we're not big enough yet, but when I say I am going to send every single fucking member of ICE to The Hague and watch them get executed for crimes against humanity, the only thing that is going to upset me about that is that I will not be able to carry it out myself. All right? We might not even send them to The Hague. We might just hold them here just so that I do have the opportunity to at least take out a few of them myself. Because I'm not going to feel better until I have gotten my Nazi scalps. And honestly, I'm 35 years old. In 2025, I never thought I'd get the opportunity to fight Nazis and get my Nazi scalps. Because, you know, I thought this was over. I thought this was over and done with in 1945. I thought it was done. I thought once Hitler shot himself in the bunker and the Nuremberg trials were over, I thought that was a done deal and that we universally agreed Nazi bad. Nazi bad. When you look up the word Nazi, it says refer to the word bad with a big picture of bad, right? And instead, we are emulating them and doing worse. Because we're making it public. We are making it public and bragging about it. So on the one hand, I get to get my Nazi scalps. On the other hand, I get to get my Nazi scalps. What? What? Disturbing. Absolutely fucking disturbing.
Let this soft mineral melt in your mouth to rebuild your gums and
you
teeth.
either die a
and
hero
never
or
need a
live
dentist
long enough
again.
to become the villain.
People are
no, that is how that goes. And yeah, like if I live long enough to somehow turn into a Nazi, please put me down. Put me down with extreme prejudice. Like you have my blessing and authorization in perpetuity. If I end up becoming a malevolent dictator, kill me. Kill me dead, and then desecrate my corpse, because I will have deserved it at that point. If I become the thing that I am fighting against, then you have every right, duty, and obligation to take me the fuck out. Don't let me live, because if I'm alive and I'm a monster, I will use every means at my disposal to get free, and then I'll make it everybody's problem. So put me down. Dead. Deader than dead. And throw me, just lob me straight into the sun. Ain't no coming back from that. Hey, you know what? I think I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just suggesting. Because I know me. And if darkness wins, you're better off sending me straight into the sun. Just saying.
Tracking the charges against a number of U.S. citizens detained during recent immigration raids.
And Mike, you found at least one citizen who hasn't been charged with anything, but she is still being held.
Yeah, that's right. Juan and Susie, you know, I've got an update to Adrian's case too, and we'll get to that in a second. But I want to talk about the woman that we told you about last night, who was also arrested by federal agents in downtown Los Angeles.
I wouldn't go that far.
We'll show you the video here.
I mean, I'm getting pretty fucking angry about this Nazi shit happening here. And brutally going after Nazis could very well segue into brutally going after some other group. I'm just saying, I'm not saying I'm above it. I doubt it. I don't think I would become the very evil I am against, but who knows? I'm just saying, asterisks, should it happen, send me straight into the fucking sun.
Here, this is the woman that was seen on camera being carried away and forcefully taken away by those federal immigration agents. Now, up until just about a half an hour ago, we still had no idea what she was alleged to have done. Her attorney still had no idea what she was alleged to have done.
Oh, and cops don't actually have to charge you on the spot. They have in Ohio, they have up to 96 hours to charge you with something, which due process? Am I being detained? What for? Whatever I fucking think of 4 days from now, you're going to jail. What? And people wonder why I was terrified when I got pulled over. Yeah, exactly. White man getting pulled over, I'm inconvenienced and I can be angry and aggressive. Literally, white female and any other marginalized group in this country, any other demographic that is not white male, you could very well end up in prison or worse. Literally worse at any given time. And that's the insane part of all this shit.
Luis Carrillo is her attorney. He went to the federal detention center today to talk to her, wanted to bond her out, but said he didn't even know what she was being charged with in order to pay the bond. Tonight, we are hearing from the Department of Homeland Security. They accuse her of punching a federal agent and resisting or preventing, rather, those agents from conducting their operation. Again.
So she's being charged with interference and assault, which would have never happened if they weren't kidnapping and trafficking people in the first place. Because again, you can't arrest somebody unless you charge them with something. You can't arrest somebody without there being a crime to have been committed in the first place. If you're just abducting people off the streets and not giving them a chance to do literally anything, that's abduction. That's kidnapping. And then when you send them somewhere, that's trafficking. And like Anna just said, the video doesn't show her doing any of that.
That is not on any of the video that we have seen, but that is what the Department of Homeland Security is alleging. Speaking of punching agents in the face, I want to take you back to Adrian's story because that is what Bill Asaley, the U.S. Attorney for the Central District of California, alleged that Adrian did to begin with. That is what they said was a violent attack. That's what the U.S. Attorney, when he posted on X, said that was the statute that he was going to be charging him with. Well, today we reached out to the U.S. Attorney's office, and that's not what he's being charged with. You heard from Nicole there that he's being charged with conspiracy to impede a federal agent. Now, we've got a copy of this, and in this criminal complaint, it talks about how Adrian allegedly pushed a trash can in front of that Border Patrol truck in concert, which is where you get the conspiracy allegation here, in concert with the other people around. They also accuse Adrian of leaving his car there. So we've been dealing with these arrests.
Oh, you mean leaving his car there because he was arrested and taken away from his car and the location where his car was at so he couldn't move it anyway? Do you really not see how fucking corrupt and authoritarian this shit is? Like, I know I am a political junkie. I know I am also pretty incensed. I also know I have very strong opinions on law enforcement. And I know that my IQ is above the national average. I am an intelligent individual. I'm not going to sit here and say like I'm a genius or anything. Definitely not saying that. But I have an IQ that is above average. So, correct me if I'm wrong. What part of literally any of that seems justified to the layman? Like, am I just too deep into politics and with my visceral hatred of the Nazi behavior of these agents to not see like, oh no, this is pretty normal stuff? Like, no, this is not normal. First of all, you interfered with somebody protesting. That's already you committing the crime, not them. They were interfering with the crimes that you are committing, i.e. kidnapping and trafficking. So again, not a crime. And you're detaining them while committing crimes, which makes your detainment unlawful, which is, again, not something that a citizen has to abide by. I'm just saying, like, there was definitely criminal conduct being displayed in both of these videos, and none of it stemmed from the individual that was arrested. Oh, Keyword individual. Notice again how I said individual. Power and authority for people requires numbers. We have the authority. That's the Constitution. That's not going anywhere. Well, seemingly. But we do not have individual power unless your name is Bruce Lee or Michael J. White. You do not have individual power to stand up against their power. They obviously are being granted authority, but unlawful authority that violates the actual authority. Do you see where I'm going with this? The authority is the Constitution. Trump is violating the Constitution, but he is authorizing everybody else to do the same thing and granting them the means to carry it out, the power, right? So ICE, with their power, their numbers, their guns, their whatever, and the authority granted to violate the Constitution, are ganging up on individuals whose names are not Bruce Lee, Mike Tyson, Michael J. White, Manny Pacquiao, right? Like, these are not world-class fighters. These are individual, regular folk. I 100% advocate for resisting this Nazi shit, but don't do it alone. Every time that these ICE agents have been thwarted, it has been community efforts, like dozens of people forming a human chain. That is how you resist. Don't try and be G.I. Joe because, well, you're not. You're not Captain America. You're not G.I. Joe. You're not Spider-Man. You're not fucking... I'm trying to pick like a lower level here. Like Daredevil... you're not Daredevil. You're not Batman. You're also not rich like Batman. You're not Robin, right? You're not any of you're not Deathstroke, right? You're not Killshot. You're none of these people. You are an average citizen with probably a horrible, horrible fitness regimen. So do not go against Nazis by yourself. Okay? Okay. G.I. Jane, Wonder Woman, shit. If Wonder Woman were real, she would have already ripped these motherfuckers limb for limb.
Guys, that they are starting to go through the legal process and starting to go through the adjudication system. Now, again, in this case, the U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley accused Adrian of punching an agent. The court documents, though, of which they've charged him with, does not add up to that. Guys?
All right, Mike, thank you so much. We have new numbers tonight on immigration arrests in and around Los Angeles from UC.
You're not Will Smith thinking you're standing up for your spouse by smacking somebody for saying she's G.I. Jane. Correct. You are not Will Smith. And isn't Will Smith a fairly robust individual? Yeah. Will Smith is 6'2", and his weight is not publicly specified, I guess. 85 kilograms approximately. Which, quick math would be around 200 pounds. Yeah, you're not 6'2" and 200 pounds either, okay? I mean, I'm 6 foot and 200 pounds, but I'm also... I'm not going to show that. I don't want to ruin everybody's eyesight. All I'm saying is, as an individual, you have the authority to do a whole lot of things against this administration. You are, however... powerless to exercise that authority as an individual. Very tall but super thin. Yeah, but he gets buff for some of his action hero movies. So I mean, he gets like a little bit of a, you know what I'm saying? I don't know that he could also. I mean, I don't know that he actually knows how to fight either. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think being 6'2" and 200 pounds automatically makes you a Golden Gloves boxer. What I'm saying is you're not even a minimum of 6'2", 200 something pounds to even be trying to trifle with these folks. All right. Long Island native alleges he was profiled. Well, there's no alleging. This shit is happening, and we have people in our chat that have been profiled.
Island are accused of taking a Hispanic man who is a U.S. citizen into custody for no reason. This was caught on camera. Legal representatives say this is a perfect example as to why ICE shouldn't be on the streets patrolling. John Diaz has this from Westbury.
I said you were. You were profiled.
The attorney of 23-year-old Elzin Lemus says from the beginning to the end of this stop, ICE agents were in the wrong for detaining the United States citizen who was born and raised in Brentwood, Long Island. Lemus, though, refused to offer ID.
Now, here's the caveat to all this. These are not ICE agents. The reason why I know, and I think we're going to cover the fact that there are bounty hunters being deputized. Notice how he's using his personal cell phone to film this. And some of the bounty hunters cover their faces. This motherfucker is all in on his racism, so he's cool on that. These are bounty hunters. These are bounty hunters because ICE agents are issued body cameras, and I'm fairly certain they're mandated to use them, but if that's enforced or not, I don't know. But an ICE agent wouldn't need to use a video camera if they wanted to film the encounter regardless. A bounty hunter would want to film the encounter to cover their own ass in case whatever they were trying to do ends up in a courtroom. So again, bounty hunters use their phones and have the really shitty paramilitary gear. ICE agents will just come at you looking like G.I. Joe.
After agents didn't tell him more details, which legal officials say is within his rights, since they were demanding it without any reasonable suspicion.
Okay, if we don't get your ID, then we're gonna have to figure out another way to ID you. That may not work out well for you.
Without a warrant, the ICE agent is then seen reaching in and opening the passenger door of the car Lemus was riding in on his way to work as an electrician around 7:30 in the morning on June 3rd.
I am a victim because of my race.
Lemus says the ICE agents refused to identify themselves despite being asked for their names and badge numbers.
And see, again, no ICE agent needs to carry 15 fucking mags and 30 different types of gun. And you can buy that police patch anywhere on fucking Amazon. Riz for rocket ship? Did I read that correctly? Thanks for the follow. Riz for rocket ship. Yeah, all right. Wow. Well, I guess I should have waited for you to comment.
And as a former police officer and detective with over 20 years, I know exactly what lawful policing looks like and what it does not look like. And this was not it.
Lemus's lawyer insists they were racial profiling him.
A violation of our laws and rights.
Lemus says in total he was detained here on the street in Westbury for about an hour and was in handcuffs for about 20 minutes.
I was made to feel as though I was a criminal.
The Nassau County Police Department did not provide a comment, and it's still unclear whether they played a role. But the county is one of the few where local government and police have entered into an agreement to work with ICE.
Deeply troubling to see our civil rights being trampled on like this.
Local leaders now trying to pass a new bill that would prohibit law enforcement agencies from cooperating with ICE.
Yeah, but see, it's not local law enforcement agencies working with ICE if it's bounty hunters. Because ICE is deputizing the bounty hunters. Yeah, no, I'm actually surprised we haven't been trolled. It's been a couple of weeks since we got trolled last time over shit like that. That's kind of crazy. But see, that's the funny thing too. These keyboard warriors would never say that shit to my face. Never would. Because I would knock them the fuck out. And I would go to jail for it. Mr. Ronan, you are being charged with assault? Yeah, because he was being a fucking Nazi. And last I checked, being a Nazi is being an enemy of the United States of America. And aiding and abetting a foreign state is treason. So I swore an oath to protect and defend my Constitution and the country from all enemies, both foreign and domestic. So, Your Honor, I don't see where this is any way, form, or fashion a problem. So just keep in mind, there will come a time where you people think you're tough enough and bad enough to come confront me to my face, and you will find out you're not.
They have other jobs to do.
There are real crimes, real community issues that our law enforcement should be focusing on.
Yeah, like the aforementioned 400,000 rape kits that aren't checked every year.
Lawyer is calling on the U.S. Justice Department to conduct a full investigation. From Westbury, Long Island, John Diaz, CBS News.
Arresting and deporting immigrants like that is corrupt. And what's that mean for you, kid? Knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe. Yeah, I don't. Anyway. Racial profiling, the deputization of bounty hunters, and the fact that the news refuses to even acknowledge that? Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to have to just ban some of these people. Apolitical daddy. I don't have very high hopes that this isn't going to be a conservative whack job.
Alan has sleep apnea, and for about 8 years, he struggled with
I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Now to an ABC4 News exclusive for you tonight.
And why do you love Zoran? I'll humor you. I mean, we got time. I'm just.
Caroline Diaz-Gonçalves, a University of Utah student, was arrested by immigration agents in Colorado on June 5th. She was held in detention there, but she's back home in Utah tonight. Our Mackenzie Diaz spoke with her today about the experience, what she went through in Colorado.
Well, that's the thing. He's definitely saying he will. Not even American. Okay, that's good. We like having foreign viewers on the channel because, I mean, the plight of the working class is a global one. And all joking aside, we are trying to build coalitions overseas as well, because even though we can't obviously accept foreign help and aid and resources to run for president, we can facilitate movements across the globe, and that's exactly what we need. We need populism in the world, and we need to get rid of neoliberalism. We 1000% need to. Yeah, no shit, right?
Colorado. Mackenzie, what did she tell you?
Yeah, 19-year-old Caroline Diaz-Gonçalves moved to the U.S. from Brazil when she was just 7 years old. She's a friend, she's a student, she's an athlete, but never did she think she would be detained by ICE.
Right.
And that's
like they keep detaining these like all-star, like top of their class athlete, probably volunteers, reads to the poor, the hungry, the blind, babysits, tutors, fluent in 15 languages, is going to go to college to cure cancer and shit like that. The other guy was literally the embodiment of Jesus Christ himself from Massachusetts, right? He was reading detainees passages in the Bible to offer them comfort and sharing his food, literal acts of Jesus. Like, ICE is literally being Nazis, but in the worst optically way possible. It's like, yeah, we know we're Nazis, and we're going to go out of our way to prove how vile we are. Disgusting.
It's exactly what happened earlier this month, and now she's speaking out and shares her story.
Yeah, but see, I don't think Arnold was actually would have ever been a good leader.
Nightmare for Caroline.
Again, bodybuilder and actor with money does not equal the ability to lead, or to govern, or to understand the plight of the common man. Like, I get having ambition, but I have a leg to stand on.
Diaz-Gonçalves.
I don't even know how to explain what it's like being in there. When you have everything that you have your life, and it gets ripped away from you so quickly.
She was pulled over by the Mesa County, Colorado Sheriff's Office for following a truck too closely. The stop lasted nearly 20 minutes.
Just have a seat in my passenger seat, okay?
It was a little bit of a weird interaction.
But she was let off with the warning until nearly 10 minutes later, pulled over again, this time by ICE agents.
They were like, would you get out of your car? So I got out of my car and they were like, well, you're under arrest. I have my documents in my wallet, and they were like, okay, well, if everything's okay, we're just gonna take you to the facility, and if everything's okay, we'll take you back to your car.
But everything was not okay.
I was just like, oh my gosh, like, this cannot be real.
She says ICE agents took her to a warehouse, chained her feet, and was transferred to a detention center in Aurora, Colorado.
Again. And I cannot stress this enough. What the fuck? What in the actual fuck? We are treating human beings like straight up terrorists off the rip, chaining their feet together and sending them to a warehouse, which is clearly an unofficial detention center in the first place, and then disregarding the legal paperwork, and then or tricking people to come to the court so that they can rip the legal paperwork away from them. Like, are you fucking kidding me right now? This is the most disturbing shit I could have ever imagined happening in our country. Yeah, it is a lame fascism. It's lame because of how just passively cruel it is. How passively malevolent our fascism is. And the fact that so many Americans are passively, tacitly accepting it. Why are we not in the streets right now? Again, collectively, don't march in the street by yourself. You will die or go to prison, as we have literally seen. Why aren't we collectively acting? That's the part that I don't fucking understand.
Where she stayed for nearly 2 weeks.
You see it in movies and you think like, oh my gosh, that sucks, but it's honestly terrible. It messes with your brain.
Back at home, Megan Clark couldn't believe what was happening to her best friend.
My heart sunk. Like, it was just pit in your
Yeah,
stomach.
we need to
feeling.
debate
I was
on the small issues like
Diaz-Gonzalez says
well, okay, so we're rounding up a couple of innocent people, but we're also getting 6% of the known criminally convicted individuals as well. So if you know that there are 16,000 violent offenders out there, why is that not priority number one? And why not just do that and be done with it? I feel like we're in the 21st century of what's causing a civil war. Back then, it was the strands of slavery where we're being thinned to being cut out of the balance between pro and anti-slavery. Now it's as simple as saying, I don't know if I got to defend the Constitution, and the strand that keeps fascism out, which would breed another civil war, is being thinner and thinner to being cut again. That fragile foundation keeps the Union standing. That was a little difficult to follow, but I agree. Obviously, we are becoming more and more divided. We are definitely becoming more and more desperate as a country. Less and less of us are able to meet our material needs. So that can only ever lead to one thing: civil unrest. How that shakes out, whether it's rioting that gets put down through martial law, whether it devolves into civil war, that is what apparently remains to be seen. Many people are too busy making excuses for the fascism. There is that.
They put her into a cell with 24 beds, some tables, and a couple of TVs, and showers, and she was only able to make calls about once a day. She's now back home with an ICE-issued ankle monitor and no clear timeline for when it will come off.
A little inhumane.
And while her future is still uncertain, one thing is for sure: her love for the place that she calls home.
I have so much love for the people and the country. It's my home, and it's all I've ever known.
And Diaz-Gonzalez is scheduled to check in with ICE here in the next couple days.
Yeah, why would she go? She was illegally detained and treated like a prisoner, like a terrorist, like an enemy combatant. She was treated like an enemy combatant and is treated like a flight risk by ICE. Why the flying fuck would she go back? And she barely lived in Brazil. Absolutely correct. Like, this is, and again, is the terror, the fear, the goal? Because let's be real, that is the goal. ICE is acting like Nazis so that they can instill fear in the communities to justify Well, they didn't show up, so they got something to hide, so now we can be even more brazen about it. Again, they manufacture the fear and the unrest so that they can justify more violent approaches. And the fact that people are, again, debating the fascism is disgusting. Yes, she sounds like a white girl because she is very light-skinned, and she probably has had pretty white girl privilege her entire life, and now that is out the fucking window, and she doesn't know how to react. When we haven't even gotten halfway through this list. But if I watch one more ICE video, I might become unhinged. Oh, well, here we go.
Open the door! Sheriff's office!
Roll your window down.
Open the door!
Yeah, I'm gonna put my car.
Step out.
Step out.
Turn around, face your car.
Seriously? It's a black woman too? I was waiting for a white racist Karen, but are we fucking kidding right now? Black people are dealing with enough. Why the fuck would you be a black woman and impersonate an ICE agent? Like, your entire community is dealing with enough. Don't be stupid and put an even bigger target on black people. Are you fucking stupid? This bitch. All right, we need to watch something that doesn't have to do with ICE because I'm very quickly going to get
This photo with JD Vance apparently got a man thrown in jail, according to reports. Because reportedly, this Norwegian man came to America for a 2-month vacation where he would visit New York, Texas, and then explore our national parks with his mom. But then, he says when he arrived at Newark Airport, Customs pulled him aside and told him that if he didn't unlock their phone for them, he would be fined at least $5,000 to spend 5 years in prison. And so he says he gave him the password, and then they went through his photos, and upon
Which, is that even legal? Is that even fucking legal? Am I legally obligated to show the content of my phone to Customs at the airport in America? If a foreign national refuses to present their electronic devices and the information resident on the device is in a condition that allows for the examination of the device and its contents, CBP may consider the foreign national's noncompliance and the inability to inspect the device when making admissibility decisions. Jesus fucking Christ. U.S. Customs and Border Protection officials have the authority to search people's phones and other devices as they determine who is allowed to enter the country. Okay. Do Americans have to show their devices to CBP agents when traveling? Pursuant to CBP's border search authority explained above, when presenting their effects for inspection, all travelers are obligated to present their electronic devices and the information resident on the device in a condition that allows for the examination of the device and its contents. So, wow. U.S. citizens cannot be denied entry to the United States for refusing to provide passwords or unlocking devices. Refusal to do so might lead to delay, additional questioning, and or officers seizing your device for further inspection. Wow. So, a political buddy, for instance, I would not, or daddy, I guess, I would not recommend coming to the United States anytime soon. Or if you do, wipe your phone and delete any app that has social media on it or travel with a burner phone. Evidently, I will have to do the same thing though, because I intend to go visit Europe at some point in the near future. And when I come back, I am not having my phone confiscated or looked through because fuck you. for one, fuck you for two, and fuck you for three.
Of JD Vance, they denied him entry and canceled his vacation. Which I will say, before we go any further, you should remember that this was a trend just a few months ago that JD Vance himself participated in. Though reportedly the customs agents did not find the photo funny, and they allegedly pushed him against a wall and forcibly strip searched him. This man then said he was forced to give blood samples, a facial scan, and fingerprints, also claiming that they asked him about drug smuggling, terrorist plans, and right-wing extremism. Them then allegedly thrown in a cell for 5 hours without food or water and then deported back to Oslo. And he says he still hasn't received an explanation or documentation for why he was denied entry. Or with many saying, this isn't an outlier situation, pointing to back in March, a French scientist saying he was refused entry because he criticized Trump in his private text messages. And then reportedly earlier this month, they searched and denied entry to an Australian journalist for writing about the Columbia protests last year. Many saying there's a lot of irony here. You're seeing people argue that the Trump administration continues to criticize Europe for a perceived lack of free speech, but God forbid you say anything about him or his cronies and there's a crackdown on you. But hey, for now, follow to stay in the loop.
I want people to...
Wow. Again, what did I say? Through the very definition of authoritarianism or dictatorship, we got it. We're here. We are, we're not at the beginning stages of fascism anymore, folks. We aren't, on our way to becoming Der Führer, the one party, kissing the ring. We're not, approaching. We're there. You cannot have thoughts against the party, whether you're foreign or American. We saw that with Hassan. Hassan is lucky to be alive. I think he realizes that. I think when he did his stream after that incident, I think he is very keenly aware now how fucked everything is in this country, and that he is actually lucky to be alive, despite being very wealthy and well known globally. He is lucky to be alive. So, again, power of the people in numbers allows us to express our authority. Power as individuals does not. So, I'm trying to convey to you, this is shit, this is horrible, be angry, be disgusted, do something, but do not ever do anything alone.
To be safe and to be protected, and I want very much to live on the right side of history. And I'm an immigrant. My parents are refugees from Chile. I myself was a refugee. We fled a dictatorship, and I was privileged enough to grow up in the U.S. and after asylum in Denmark. And if it weren't for that, I don't know what would have happened to us. And I don't know. The people that try to make you scared, and fight back.
Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Wonderful here.
Intelligently.
When I choose
Fight
to
back
invest in the
intelligently.
company, it's because
Did I not hit pause? Nobody wants to listen to you, motherfucker. One of the videos we've definitely been waiting for.
And this afternoon, the House has voted to set aside an impeachment effort against President Trump. Representative Al Green from Houston introduced the impeachment resolution today, accusing Trump of abuse of power over military strikes in Iran. The House voted along bipartisan lines to quash that measure, most Democrats joining Republicans to table the measure.
I don't want to go here, but Gotham,
we didn't see the actual vote. That's pretty unfortunate. All right, we got 30 more minutes. There was a lot of ice that we were covering. All right, we actually got through most of those. I apologize for not having the emotional stability and control to watch the others, because it is important. It's definitely important. Oh, holy fuck. Wait, what? I didn't
And
hear
we have
about
some
this.
breaking news that's coming in. A 49-year-old Canadian man has died while in the custody of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency known as ICE. Johnny Noviello was taken by ICE agents when he was checking in with a probation officer. The exact details on his death, including the cause, are under investigation.
A terrifying...
Okay. Fun fact. The United States of America has the largest prison population in the world, right? So that's a fun fact. The second fun fact is none of those people just die. None of those people just die randomly. They either have a heart attack, they're shanked, or they are executed. Right? Old age sometimes, right? You don't get detained at the county jail and just wake up dead later on. Why? Because there are standards and conditions and procedures that must be maintained in every single one of those facilities, right? So if somebody is already dying in ICE detention, and we already know that they are being treated inhumanely, so let's get all that out there, right? The population of those detention centers are usually far exceeding what is actually authorized or allowed. Meaning, say you have a facility that's able to handle 200 people, there's 1,000 in there without access to water or hygiene or food or regular anything, which does cause disease, which does cause malnutrition, which does lead to stress and anxiety, which can lead to heart attacks or aneurysms. So the fact that it's barely 6 months in, and we already have blood of a foreign national on our hands, like, how are we functionally different than the Nazis who killed the Jews? At some point, it did make its way back to Germany, but for the most part, it was foreign concentration camps. So now we are killing through neglect, exposure, malnutrition, whatever have you. We are killing detained migrants in the United States of America on U.S. soil, and then arresting the Congress people who are trying to investigate these facilities in the first place. You check the president, you said immunity is wrong, and you give him immunity. ICE is some depressing shit. They fucking are. I hope USA does not affect my healthcare with that 5% NATO bullshit. Oh, well, it probably will. Plus, no matter what country you're in currently in Europe, every single one of them are fighting tooth and nail to prevent privatization of their healthcare systems and their social services. Even Sweden is struggling against privatization of their healthcare and education. It's fucking insane that privatization is making its way into some of the most democratic socialist countries on the planet, and it just goes to show capitalism is a fucking cancer. Yep. It's happening. It's happening to every single one of those countries. Yeah, I definitely can't watch that. What do we got? So the rest of these are about Zoran. Well, let's do the parliamentarian real quick.
Does not rule.
Okay.
The chair of the Senate, who's sitting in the chair, she advises the chair. Mm-hmm. So first of all, there's a real concern about the parliamentarians ruling. She's not ruling. She is advising who's sitting in the chair. The chair can accept the advice or not accept the advice, which is an important point.
Thank you.
And I just want to make that clear. In terms of, I don't know.
That's news to most people. We hear about the parliamentarian ruling all day long. You've got senators calling for her firing today, Bill. So that's a pretty important detail.
I think that's so unfortunate. She is a career person. She's not political. She's just abiding by the law. And she is carrying out her responsibilities effectively. Reconciliation has become something that's much more than what it used to be. And people are using it for things that was never intended. This is supposed to be a budget act. Now, in terms of the provider tax, I don't know the specifics. I can tell you that I think we had a provision earlier this week that was that she said violated the Byrd Rule, had to do with the SNAP program and a state match. It was a simple fix. It was a date. I don't know exactly what it is that's creating the current problem, but I do have a feeling that it's probably something that's fixable, because this does save something like $280 billion, $250 billion over the next years. So I just want to make it clear that this is, I think we're rushing to judgment here. I think the staff now understand there may be some tweaks they have to make in the legislation. It may be greater than that. I don't know. But I don't want to put all this burden that the parliamentarian has ruled.
Sure.
She is advising.
Well, I think the reason some people view this as being potentially something more definitive is because by and large the signal from
a very, I guess, nothing burger, and this guy is about as inspiring as spoiled milk. The big beautiful bill is going to gut our entire healthcare system. It is going to transfer trillions of dollars of wealth from you and me to billionaires. That's the point that you need to know. And what you need to do is call your senator, your congressman, your governor, your state legislator. You need to be up everyone's asshole like a puppet and tell them no, in no uncertain terms, no, right? And why do I say your state government, even though this is a federal thing? Because they have the power to influence the voting districts of these congresspeople, right? So every congressman is, right? So it's local, state, federal, right? Or local, state, federal, right? So the congressman is over this portion of the whole state. Well, there might be 5 districts in that state. And if you're up every single one of their asses, those 5 congressmen and the 1 or 2 state senators, and I think you guys have assemblymen in New York, all of those people are going to be like, Congressman Snuffy, you need to chill the fuck out, because I'm not going to get elected. You're not going to get elected. And people are dumping shit, literal shit, their dog shit, on my front porch. So can you do something about this, right? Collective power grants us our authority. Collective power grants us the ability to exercise our authority. So contact your mayor, your councilman, your fucking dog catcher, your state level elected officials, your county level elected officials, and your federal level officials. Be up their ass. That's the point. Organizing. Yeah, I kind of that was the impression that I got. They're not being allowed to cut Medicaid. Exactly. Well, and they shouldn't be allowed to cut Medicaid. Like, that's the whole point. The pressure is working. Many Republicans are calling Trump, asking him not to have the cuts in the bill because their constituents are revolting, as they should. And as I am saying, revolt in the way that is safe to do. Oh, the Humanist Report.
Posters here.
He was one of the first people that found me when I was running for DNC chair.
I don't want to go here, but
we'll give him a good. We'll watch his video.
Have you seen what Batman is up against in Gotham, and what the guy running for mayor is up against? That's what it reminds me of. They're taking Wall Streeters and make him walk out onto the ice in the East River as and hope, and then they fall through.
Yep.
I mean, there is a class warfare that's going.
So what's happened?
To be clear, the class warfare has been going on since humanity decided money was a thing that it needed to survive on. And the class war has been consistently won by the wealthy and the powerful on account of the fact that we still have poverty in the world. So, fuck you, whoever the hell you are, you piece of fucking white garbage. It is class war because it's always been class war. And you are about to be put on fucking notice how we are no longer going to be complicit in the race war or the religion war or the age war or any of that other shit. This is always going to be about the class. And that is what we are messaging. And that is what we are fighting for. And that is what people are becoming to realize. So you better tighten that tie a little better. Steam your collar, because you're going to want to look real fucking pretty when it's your turn on the fucking gallows.
Here, I think
eat the rich type.
There's a division within the Democratic Party in New York City and New York State, and it's emblematic of the division that we see nationally. How far left does the Democratic Party want to go?
We had Kathy Wild sitting in the chair you were in yesterday, and she said the business community is terrified. I mean, describing it almost as a panic attack.
The new mayor, potentially, of New York is going to freeze the rents, and everybody eats for free, so they don't have to worry.
Really?
Yeah.
But how about the rich?
No.
Do they get shot?
No, yes.
Yes.
Let's bring in New York City business
Unironically, yes.
owner Richie Romero to react to this. What was your initial reaction when you heard about this victory?
Honestly, I didn't sleep because I had to talk a lot of people off ledges last night that were calling me nonstop, moving out of New York, etc.
Really?
Good. Get the fuck out. You're the fucking
no
problem.
Need to talk him off the ledge, brother. Let him
Here's
jump.
the thing. Rich people should be afraid. When I am president, my job will be to serve the needs of the American people, the majority of the people, the 99% of the American population who needs access to infrastructure, food, clean water, clean energy, housing, and wages, and the other infrastructure necessary to keep this country going, right? You rich motherfuckers will be lucky if you still have money left when I'm done with you. Because if we're going to talk about conspiracy, how about the corporate conspiracy to price gouge everything and call it inflation? How about the manipulation of markets? How about antitrust laws being violated on a regular basis? How about the fact that wage theft accounts for more than the entirety of combined theft, of criminal theft, to include asset forfeiture by law enforcement, which is also considered theft, wage theft, whether that's not paying, whether that's cutting hours, whether that's, rounding off lunch and this, that, and the other. That all of that is the wage theft. We're not talking about the taking profit from productivity. That's not part of the wage theft number. No, just the straight up wage theft is like a factor of 10 more than asset forfeiture and actual larceny combined. So, you want to talk about conspiracy? You want to talk about threats to society and the safety of the American people? It is the rich. It is especially landlords. It's especially franchisees. And you should be afraid. You should be up at night. And you should be praying to your God, because it's not the God of the people. It's the God of corruption, money, greed, avarice, whatever you want to call it. You should be praying and hoping every single day that we continue to fight each other, because the second we put our torches and pitchforks down, or at least not pointing them at each other, is the day that your time starts to tick down. And it will only be a matter of time before your number is called and you will come to the front. You will stand trial. You will be found guilty because, again, your crimes are public and very, very well documented. And you will suffer the appropriate consequences. Now, if it were up to me, it would be execution in Central Park. It would be. If it were up to me, with the charges of conspiracy, of violating the Constitution, violating people's rights, interfering with elections, election tampering, voter tampering, interfering with public influence, bribery, corruption, blackmail, you name it. Violating our environment. Not every business leader is necessarily directly responsible for that. The billionaires are, All of those things combined has to equal at least the death penalty. And if it's up to me, that's exactly what your sentencing would be. You would be sentenced to death. And I would then take it a step further and offer a lottery to the people who could pay $5 per ticket for the opportunity to execute you in Central Park for the crimes you've committed against the American people. So, Mamdani is not going to do those things. Mamdani is probably realistically going to be more like AOC or Bernie Sanders at best. Mamdani is going to be Bernie Sanders at best. He is not going to execute you in Central Park. I would. And I would make it a public affair. It would damn near be a holiday when it's all said and done. And it will make your skin crawl. It will make you lose all hope for the future, that maybe, just maybe, a twinge of concern, of human empathy would stay your death and sentence you to life instead. No. You would see the horror fill your chest, your soul, and tear apart the last vestiges of hope that you might come out of this thing alive, because you will see so many people fighting for the opportunity to be the one to voluntarily execute you for the crimes you have committed, that it will make your head spin, and you will cry out to God for mercy, for grace, and you will receive none from us. So pray and hope, and better yet, change your fucking ways while you still can. That's kind of radical, but I can't blame you. Those hospital bills must be devastating. Honestly, radical would be giving them a trial, and radical is the fact that I'm still giving them a trial. Radical would be just rounding them up and executing them outright while still raffling off the privilege to do so. That would be radical. You're like a modern day Shirley Jackson who wrote the lottery. Exactly. First of all, $5 a pop. We already discussed that there's over 500,000 elected positions. There's over 600? No, there's got to be more than that. How many billionaires are in America? There's 813 billionaires in America. And if I did a $5 lottery to citizens, like a pool, and then pick like the top 10 that people obviously really hate: Zuckerberg, Bezos, Gates, Musk. No, Musk is mine. But you get what I'm saying. You auction off the big 10 separately, and then the remaining 803 that nobody knows about as a big pool for $5 a pop. We will probably clear the national fucking debt. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. My mom passed away when she was only 50 years old because she couldn't afford healthcare. I would have had to pay $6,000 because I went to the emergency room after contacting the VA because I thought I was having a stroke. And I would have been charged $6,000 when it turned out I wasn't having a stroke. And because I was a veteran and am with the VA for my healthcare system, it cost me $82. So yes, the medical system in our country is abhorrent. It is violent, and it causes the deaths of 60,000 people directly every single year. And it indirectly is the number one cause. Well, no, it is directly the number one cause of bankruptcy in America, which then leads to more poverty and death. So no. Again, the radical aspect of what I just suggested would be denying them due process. That would be radical. I'm giving them their due process. It's just they have no chance in hell of being found innocent. Yep. The anger is real. And Anna, but believe it or not, I'm the calm one. Just saying. All right. We got 19 minutes left. We haven't been taken down for inciting violence or anything, so I guess we can. Oh wait, we were watching.
That was just a tiny little fraction of the enormous shitstorm that ensued after Zohran Mamdani defeated Andrew Cuomo in New York City's mayoral race. And my favorite thing ever is this allegation that the working class.
Bro, my sister had a botched gallbladder surgery too, and she's a fucking nurse, like a nurse, or a nurse, like RN something nurse. And they botched her surgery as well.
Class is waging class warfare against the wealthy. I'm here to
put
confirm
an
that we are
end to
indeed
that.
doing just that.
To be clear, it would put an end to it because we would have universal health care. We would abolish the insurance element of it altogether. Why didn't this duplicate? The fuck? Did my website get taken down? Okay. I was like, I'm trying to find the universal healthcare page on my website. I wanted to share that since we were talking about healthcare and the reforms necessary. Copy. Paste. It's kind of a culture shock. I have never, not even 1 second, had to worry or even think about not being able to get nor afford healthcare. I never even think about healthcare. Bro, when I broke my toe in Germany as a foreign exchange student, I was worried I was going to be getting a huge bill. It literally didn't cost me anything. I think I want to say I had to go to a Japanese hospital. No, I almost ended up in a Japanese hospital, but they ended up taking me to the Navy. Anyway, I broke my ankle, and I thought I was going to end up with like a ridiculous bill. And because I was active duty, it was literally free. So, I mean, I am not only a white man, which is already privileged in America, but I'm a white male veteran, which puts me like way higher on the privilege scale. And I'm telling you, if it wasn't for the VA, if it wasn't for having free healthcare, I would have been homeless several times over by now. Like, let's be very clear about that. In the richest country in the world, it should be a war crime not to give citizens healthcare, but I guess war crimes don't mean a lot for the USA anyways. Yeah, I mean, you answered your own question, buddy. I pay $900 a month for insurance, and right now I'm fighting with my insurance company because they don't want to pay for surgeries that I need. Right. I can't. There is no way on God's green earth I could have afforded $900 a month for the past 10 years. And let's do some math, because I love math. And I said 10 years, right? So 900 times 120 would have been $108,000 that I would have been giving to health insurance companies. There's no fucking way I would have been able to afford that. Chillin' Jazz. Thanks for the follow. Yeah, so no, that's brutally insane that healthcare is that expensive and they still have the audacity and the legal right to tell you fuck off. Excuse me? What am I paying for? That is the US healthcare system. Why am I paying for shit if I can't even use it? You know what's funny, Chillin'? There was a time where the mere mention of that would have pissed me off. That would have made me so angry that people were trying to do that. But then I mellowed out and I was like, you know what? As long as you're not taking stripes away from people, do whatever you need to do. So I've mellowed out a lot further now. The thing is, I would recommend enlisting in the military for benefits. The problem is you're enlisting under the Trump administration while we are actively attempting to go to war with Iran. So it's like when I enlisted in 2009, there was still a chance that I could have gone to war, right? but it wasn't that likely. Not at that time. And especially not in the Air Force, and especially not in my career field. But most people don't make it into the Air Force, and for a reason. The Air Force has very high standards. Like, if you have financial problems, you're not getting in the Air Force. Like, just let me, if your credit score is not above 700, you're not getting into the Air Force. Let's just be very clear about that. But like, even the Army and the Navy, who have a much larger branch, you know, they've become harder to get into as well. And so most people also don't have the medical history or the mental history to be able to get into the military. If you're depressed or have anxiety, you're not getting in. And if you can't run 1.5 miles, 2 miles, you're not getting in. Like, so as much as I would recommend getting into the military for the sake of benefits, it's a moral and ethical question you have to ask yourself. You will have to do at least 2 years in the military, and during that time, we could be at war with Iran. Or you could be ordered to go to Palestine. You could always refuse. You could always file for conscientious objector status, but then they could also force you out with an other than honorable discharge. And then you don't get benefits. So here's the rub. You go to the military for 2 years, and you do whatever they tell you, within reason, of course, and you get out with an honorable discharge, yes, then it's worth it. But if you go in and then you try and do literally anything else, then you have literally shot yourself in the foot.
Days of
like
the wealthy
Anna.
waging an asymmetric war against the working class are over. These oligarchs have taken everything from us. Our financial...
If you're a good test taker and you have a good credit score, I would highly recommend the Air Force, to be perfectly honest. Not because I was in it, but because the Air Force does have the highest quality of life. And you are primarily your job rather than a warfighter. The thing is, you have to score well. You really do. And you have to have a good credit score. Like, you have to have your shit together. And you can have no medical issues whatsoever. Like, you can't be depressed, have anxiety. You can't have hangnails, damn near. All right. I'm letting you know. I am letting you know. Talk to your recruiter. They will tell you. Maybe they are more desperate than when I enlisted. I think they are more desperate than when I enlisted. So maybe some of that shit isn't true anymore. Talk to a recruiter. And do your best. But understand, the Air Force doesn't offer 2-year enlistments. The Army does, and I believe the Navy does. But the Air Force has a mandatory minimum of 4 years. So you are committing to 4 years with the Air Force. But it is a significantly better quality of life.
Security, our system of governance, the habitability of our planet, our futures, and we are here to take it back from them. And as panicked as they're feeling right now, they should feel thankful that it happened electorally, because with the
now, I did 6 years active, 6 years reserve, so
way things were going, it felt like the peasants were on the verge of breaking out the pitchforks and foregoing the democratic process altogether, if you know what I mean. So in some ways, these wealthy slobs should be thanking Mamdani, because
unironically, they do. So a lot of foreigners do enlist in the military because it used to be a guaranteed pathway to citizenship. And then Trump got rid of that. So
his method of change is preferable to a French-style revolution, which is what a significant number of Americans were ready for, since things have been going so bad, and seeing that they had no expectation whatsoever that our political system was even capable of producing a victory like this. But
so I love your optimism. I forget his actual name. It's not The Humanist. I know it's not that. It's also not Report. Mike. All right. I can get behind that. So I love how optimistic Mike is, because people are not ready for pitchforks and French Revolution. Are you shitting me? We're still too fucking afraid to take out ICE and law enforcement that are aiding and abetting them. We are barely just now starting the human chains thing in our little neighborhoods. We aren't French revolutioning. Mike Figueredo, thank you. We are now, we are pretty close to civil war, maybe. We're pretty close to that, but it's going to be a bloodless war too. But actual violent revolution, we are No, we are nowhere close to that.
Mamdani's win has reinvigorated a portion of the population who is just ready to give up on America altogether, myself included, admittedly. And every single centrist, neoliberal Democrat should be shitting their pants right now, because this proves that once and for all, the energy of the Democratic Party is with the progressive wing of the party.
See, now I wouldn't have expected, and I don't expect him. I'm being cheeky. But Mike was one of the first people who interviewed me during the DNC chair race and kind of got me out there. So what would have been hilarious is if he cut in my DNC chair video where I told the party to their face, like, if you don't start listening to people and going to where the people are, you're going to become irrelevant. Right after he said this in his little video, would have been chef's kiss.
And that bodes really well for the future of the Democratic Party. Now, I've got so many more reactions to share with you, but I first want to take a look at an analysis from CNN's data analyst, Harry Enten, who confirms that Mamdani's win is not some sort of a fluke. In fact, data indicates that he is representing a new direction that the base wants to take the Democratic Party in.
Let me tell you, this was a political earthquake that should have the Democratic establishment running scared. What are we talking about here? Well,
let me rephrase. Yes, the Democratic establishment should be running scared, period. However, because people are fed up with the Democrats, not because Zoran won. Now, that being said, if Zoran continues to push his momentum, his message, his rhetoric, and then utilizes his position in the State House to quantify his policies, that would be massive.
New York City primary upsets like Mamdani's. This is truly one for the record books. There are really only two that I could think of that are anything like this. And that was back in '89 for mayor when David Dinkins won over three-term mayor Ed Koch. Koch was running for a fourth term. The voters said, there was big turnout then, just like there was big turnout last night. And of course, more recently, if you want to take a look at a national picture, think back to 2018, New York's 14th Democratic primary going for Congress when AOC beat House Dem Caucus Chair Joe Crowley. This, to me, is very much like that, energizing young voters, energizing voters on the left, and providing what truly was a historic night last night in Democratic circles.
And, look, on paper, this is a mayor's race. This is also New York City, special city. But is this more a New York City thing, or is this more of a sign of a larger national trend when it comes to the Democratic Party?
Yeah, just like AOC's victory in 2018, this did happen locally, but I think you can take it up nationally. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, you could if you had the capability of doing that. If you had the infrastructure, and if you coordinated with other candidates, which is another thing that I said. If we are not going to start vigorously working with and coordinating with other candidates at every single level of office in rural America, as well as where we have strongholds, we are going to lose. Not that I consider myself a Democrat anymore. I'm just referencing my past.
Well, you think about Democratic establishment, you think about Democratic Party leaders, pretty much.
Oh, no. It is absolutely corruption. And honestly, we can point the finger as far back as Clinton. But realistically, the Democratic Party died with Reagan's rise to power, the rise of trickle-down economics, the rise of globalization, and the rise of neo-capitalist. I mean, at the end of the day, Reagan pushed us so far to the right that Democrats felt like they had no other choice but to meet them somewhere in the middle from that. And we've just been shoved to the Overton window ever since. Yeah. Capitalism. Don't do that, because this could be you.
All of them were behind Andrew Cuomo, but the bottom line is the Democratic base is.
We've got about 50 million followers. We're in the billions of views, and we're a small team.
Fed up, done with the Democratic establishment.
Is owned
this is
by
true in
Israel.
New York, it's true nationally. Democrats who say their party leaders should be replaced. Look at this. This is a recent poll from Reuters Ipsos. 62% of Democrats nationally say their party leaders should be replaced. Party leaders like Andrew Cuomo, party leaders like Jim Clyburn, who, of course, endorsed Andrew Cuomo. You think about all the Democrats that were behind Andrew Cuomo in the establishment. The Democratic base is fed up with them. And the bottom line is nationally, the vast majority of Democrats think that their party leaders should be replaced. But it's more than this, right? Of course, Mamdani ran a pretty far left campaign, right? Compared to.
He didn't, though. You know what kills me? My rant, what was that, 10 minutes ago? My rant, that was far left. My rant was far left. That I would arrest every single wealthy motherfucker in this country. Every billionaire at an absolute minimum. Every CEO and their boards. At a fucking minimum, I would arrest those motherfuckers. I would charge them with the laundry list of shit that they have done. And then when they are found guilty, because again, their crimes are self-evident, I would execute them and make it a public spectacle as I do so. That is far left. The fact that they have a trial is what makes it far left and not. So my point being here in all of this, Mamdani is at most on the actual Overton window, where this right here is basically America today and Hitler. This was Bush. Maybe Democrats in the 90s. JFK, FDR types right here. The founding fathers, I guess. Like, I mean, the founding fathers thought black people were 3/5 of a person and still allowed for slavery. So, you get where I'm going? Like, we have not had, in the Overton window, which, do I still have that? I think it's this. I do. All right, so the political spectrum window. So, market democracy, individualism, support for totalitarian system, enlightened monarchism, capitalism, i.e., private capitalism, corporate socialism, and liberalism, wage slavery. That's the right, which in America is the left. The far right is fascism, totalitarian dictatorship, authoritarian monarchism, communism, aka state capitalism, which that's funny, but communism is in whatever. Authoritarian socialism, which is Nazis, and feudalism or traditional slavery. The official Overton window, the mainstream. So in US politics, our left is actually still authoritarian. And the far right is Nazis. And we are actually now, under this administration, the Nazis. Like in every capacity. But if you go to the center, it's the center. And then the left. Social democracy, libertarianism, Marxism, official socialism, libertarian, democratic socialism, liberalism, the UK. I would not consider the UK the left in the slightest sense of the word. Social democracy. Oh, maybe I am far left then. Democratic anarchism, middle-class anarchism, anarcho-syndicalism, unofficial socialism, professionalism. Nope, definitely not that. And then the post-left. Radical anarchism? Yeah, see, that's getting rid of, like, leadership and dumb stuff like that. Refusal of work movement, revolutionary working class activity. Now, that part I'm in for. No state, extreme limitation of power, local currencies, jubilees, extreme limits on energy consumption. Yeah, see, I'm not that. Like, I do want a central government. I definitely want a central leadership organization. Rule by workers' councils? Nope, that won't get us very far, because you're still going to control resources, and people at the top are still going to control them. Rule by intellectuals and professionals overseeing democratic welfare state. Heavy restrictions on wealth acquisition, privatization, heavily unionized workplaces, heavily subsidized public services, smaller non-existent military. I think I'm closer to this. I think I'm closer to somewhere around here. Somewhere in that. rule by democratic systems, excessive choice, limitation to access of speech platforms, assimilation of minorities, belief in emotional morality, imagination, and flexibility, and controlled by desire, debt, and implicit threat of violence. No overt control of dissent. Most of the modern world. I mean, that's where we are right now. Force them to wear body cams so we can see if they're playing by the rules. Any breaking of it should force an arrest. Yeah, no. As long as people think it's a functioning democracy, and by this definition, it's not. Why does it say terrorism? Where does it say terrorism? Oh, it said, okay, so it says insanity, terrorism, and the far left, the loony left, because in America, that's what that is called. In America, this is insanity. And in America, this is what we usually call terrorists and extremists. Which has never, literally, according to this, has never been tried. And this is how we, like, no government is how we've been for most of civilization. So, post 8000 BC. The Spanish Civil War, pre-Bolshevik Soviet Russia, Makhnovist or Ukraine, etc. I think really the healthy government is somewhere in the left, but with like an extremely efficient centralized government. I think if you're doing everything on the left correctly, but you have a strong central infrastructure and government system that ensures that this stays in place, and people are constantly educated and reminded that they need to participate and encouraged to do so, I think somewhere around here is the best form of government. Yeah. Well, I sound like a liberal in the classical sense, but in America, I am the far left or the loony left. Oh shit, we're past our time. Yeah, Anna is about that life. Granted, I'm about that life too, but I don't think any of these are realistic. None of these are a country. I would say here is where a country thrives and a population thrives. I think here is when, by the time you get here, you're heading towards this anyway. Oh wait, my mouse isn't moving on the screen. Shit. My thing is in the center, once you start moving right from the left, like once you, if this is the ideal, and in my opinion it is, this is Star Trek. This is the Star Trek future. The second you start deviating from the Star Trek future, the only possible outcome is an eventuality of this. Now, it took the United States, to a degree, could be argued that it was always there, but it took the United States to go from somewhere in this area to this area 250 years. And many will argue, and correctly, that we were the far right from our inception. So it could be argued that we have never been the right, and that we've always been authoritarian, but not quite a dictatorship because of the illusion of democracy. But regardless, the more you deviate from this, the only possible eventuality is this extremism. It's just, it's the nature of empire. It's the nature of power and control. It always will lead to this. Always. What did Hegseth get so angry about at that press conference? That the mainstream media said the truth and he called them liars. So, yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to hit on that, but I guess we didn't get through. Oh, it's 21 minutes anyway. We wouldn't have gotten through that regardless. So, that's been our Thursday recap. Lots of strong, big feelings from yours truly. A nice, quick political science 101 lesson at the end there. Lots of new followers. I don't know. Did I just manage to make it into the top 3 rows today? Like, thank you. Appreciate that. But yeah, we stream Tuesdays through Thursdays every week from 7 to 10. As my time allows, we might start pushing that later, especially as my throat is more capable of handling the talking. Just like everything else, you got to exercise it or else you don't get to use it. So we are continuing doing this. Tuesdays, we talk about U.S. policy, domestic policy. I know some of you are from not the United States, but it's domestic for us. Wednesday is foreign affairs, and then Thursdays are recaps because, unfortunately, we are living in historic times, and history writes itself between Tuesday and Wednesday, even from Wednesday to Thursday. So it's almost necessary to do a Thursday recap. So with that being said, thank you for coming. This is the end of our stream for tonight. Y'all have a great weekend, and see you Tuesday.